Y'all, Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is, preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going, Celtic Warrior Damon?
Soda.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
Fella.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Boom. Boom. We're doing it. We are doing it. That's right. This is Wrestling on the Rocks, episode 1. I don't have my notes in front of me, so I can't do the old fighting. But we do have one half of the IIRonics and the other half of the IIRonics. That's right. The whole team is Chaw. It's me. I'm at Ref Marsh, and we have Kevlar on the Rocks with an X. Say what's up, Kev.
What's up, guys? How you all doing?
Oh yeah, I'm on screen now. We got no producer today. We're able to do whatever we want. We can actually have fun now.
We're gonna go off the rails.
We're going off the rails immediately. We're just all like, "What's your favorite Triple X website?" No, never mind.
There's this good one called. Oh,
yeah. But yeah, guys, it's us. It's Wrestling on the Rocks. It's episode 1. We're having a bit of an early show today. If you watch live on twitch.tv/Wrestling on the Rocks, or even on our Twitter at WOTR the show, I believe we're also on YouTube, which you can probably only get to through WrestlingOnTheRocks.com. To be honest, the URL is massive. So go subscribe to our YouTube. We need to get it up to 100 subscribers on there so we can change the URL to what it obviously should be, but it is not. So. If you are watching live, we are early. It is the return of the old happy hour.
Yeah.
We used to use
Get the
happy
drinks
hour.
flowing.
Yeah. We used to have a happy hour as a watch along for Power, but now it's behind a paywall, and I don't pay to watch YouTube, so sorry. That's where we're at with that.
Damn, pay for YouTube.
Yeah, I don't pay for YouTube shows. This is kind of my deal.
Only the other
things.
aforementioned websites. I was just saying the aforementioned websites that you pay for.
Yeah, I pay for like all the other stuff. I'm not paying for YouTube. So
yeah.
Let's see. I'm just looking through some of the news real quick to make sure that we hit all the good stuff.
Well,
right
first,
now,
what's in your glass?
Yeah, let's do that.
You need a producer.
Yeah, producer keeps us in check. She's always giving me hand signs on the side, like saying that you guys are annoying her, and I'm like, that's good. Let's keep it rolling. Let's move through. I'm having today, because it is still early it's still not even evening yet, so I'm gonna have a nice little refreshing. I'm having Truly Wild Berry Hard Seltzer.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Fancy.
I'm about to make a huge fucking mess. It's gonna pour all over the ground. There's no way you can, because these cans don't pour good into glasses. I have a towel down here. Don't tell.
It's gonna be like an infomercial. Does this ever happen to you?
Yeah.
Oh man. Seltzer all over your set.
Yeah, you think Clump poured me a drink? Actually, we're good. We're good. No spill. Awesome. All right. Oh shoot! You know what? I don't even have the chat open. I can't see. Oh my god! I see a bunch of chat happening. I got to move off screen again.
All right.
But anyways, Kev, take it from here.
In my glass, I'm drinking Estrella Jalisco. It's pretty good. Mango michelada. It also comes in spicy piña. It's muy bueno.
It's
real good.
The micheladas, the bud ones.
No, it's Estrella Jalisco.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Like I said, spicy piña and mango. Really good.
That sounds awesome, actually. That sounds really good.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Let me open up.
Probably my favorite out of the canned micheladas so far.
That's good. That's good. It looks like our camera went on and off. I saw it flicker. I'm being blamed by it already. Producer's already like texting me, telling me I'm a failure. Just in time says, "What up, dive bar of the IWC?" That's correct. Here at Wrestling on the Rocks, we are the dive bar of the IWC. And yeah, he says we're producer list. It's going to be a good one. I think it'll be interesting.
We might have to do some censorship to put it on the podcast.
Yeah, it's like, why was this episode 15 minutes? God, you should have heard what they said.
Yeah. Everything's just cut from what's in your glass to last call.
Yeah. Just an immediate hard cut right there. Let's see.
Yeah.
There's a couple things. Let's get it through. Do you know who Don Kernoodle is? He was an NWA guy. I think we talked about it last week, didn't we?
I think so, yeah.
There's more stuff going on with him. It says there's like some people posted his little links about him and stuff, so that's good. We had a couple birthdays. Bray Wyatt had a birthday. I believe it was yesterday or the day before, so cheers to Bray Wyatt.
Cheers.
Let him in.
And let this michelada in me.
Yeah. Happy birthday to him. Obviously, we're big fans of his. We talk about him all the time. Roman Reigns, I believe, had a birthday today. So happy birthday to the tribal chief. Cheers to there.
Head of the table.
Head of the table. If anybody doesn't realize it, we like to do birthdays because it just gets us drinking real quick, real fast.
Yeah.
Cheers
Gets
to
the old
that.
line primed. Very nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Cheers to drinking. Cheers.
Cheers.
But it's all right.
I see
Whatever
your
you guys are
cheers.
drinking.
And I'll raise you a cheers.
Oh, shit. Raise me and cheers. Gotta go. Gotta get a cheers on that one. But we do appreciate anybody coming through and having a drink with us here at the Dive Bar. It's not about what you drink. It's about who you're drinking with. And we are your drinking buddies, and you are ours. And we're happy to have you here, man. The only other thing I have, really, I think, as I double-check one last time, is the sad stuff. Well, for one, WWE corporate let like 35 people go, and the internet's in an uproar about that. And I don't think most people know the names of most of those people. I think they just like to be really upset when people get fired from companies. And I don't know. It's always sad. It sucks, but at the same time, like, fuck, it happens every day, all over the place. It's a little hard for me to be all like crying about it and throwing a fit because it's like, okay, well, people get let go. It's a bummer. I don't know how it's relevant to us as wrestling fans if somebody in some sort of marketing department got let go or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't mean to be a dick about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just facts. Like you said, we don't know these people. Whereas the talent, we become familiar with them.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it does suck. I'm sorry. I wish you well, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to lose any sleep over it.
Yeah, 100%. That's where I'm at with it. It's like, yeah, I wish you well. I hope you guys find a new job doing what you love. But at the end of the day, I don't know who you are to begin with. I'm not terribly invested in that, and I don't know that it's going to affect what I see on TV, which is why we're here to talk about what we watch on TV, because that's what we like. One other thing that happened out of those let goes, though, the releases, was Adnan Virk is no longer with the WWE. They reported that they mutually agreed to part ways. Adnan Virk tweeted out, he goes, "Thanks to WWE for a wonderful opportunity. The weekly travel, along with my other jobs, was a grind for me and my family. I'm grateful to everyone with the company, especially Graves and Byron Saxton, for being such fantastic teammates." I saw a lot of people talking about this too,
Nice.
in different variations of how could he not know, or what does he mean to travel, or is it a cover up? And I don't know about any of that stuff. It's all ridiculous.
Aliens.
I know, man. Like, some of it's like, why are we honestly having conversations about it? Like, how much more do you need to say other than they part ways? It seems to be mutual. I bet you there was a conversation had, and I don't know that it. I mean, I'm curious as far as whose replacement's going to be. I liked him. I didn't think he was great, but I thought he was getting better.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
that's that. Then
I liked his voice. I liked, what he brought. I think he was getting familiar with the product. I don't think, it kind of sucks, but I don't think he was a wrestling fan to begin with. And it's kind of obvious because, he would mess up guys' names and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, excuse me, I'm already burping.
Yeah, we're doing it.
But, I just wonder, they probably brought him on, and just my speculation of it. And he's like, cool, I can travel with the MLB network when I need to, and then I can also do this, as a home base type of thing. So with WWE traveling again, it was probably like, all right.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to work. But yeah, I mean, it's a bummer to see him go. At the same time, it wasn't amazing yet, but he was getting better. I always like to see people get better at what they do. But so I don't know who they're going to get. Obviously, there's a lot of speculation. Tom Phillips is still with the company, and he's been he's been gone for a bit. Could always slide him back in there. Some people are saying bring back Samoa Joe. You know, I don't know.
Morrow. Wouldn't mind Morrow.
Morrow could always come back.
But
And I
he's just
feel
too
that
NXT though.
I think he's very NXT, and I also don't know if he would be able to get away with what he does with Graves and Byron Saxton at the table. I don't think they're willing to be shut up. You know what I mean? And Morrow was really, really like, shut up, I'm talking now. Was really, like, you know what I mean? It didn't matter what anyone else was saying when. If he found a spot to slide in his hip-hop reference, then all things stop so he can do that. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And he
What
would just
about
yell.
What about that Geo Madden guy? I don't think he's up to much anymore.
Dio Madden, we haven't seen him in forever.
Dio.
Yeah, we haven't seen Dio Madden since Brock Lesnar slammed him, so who knows what he's up to. There's no telling. That's for certain.
I hope he's doing well in his recovery.
I hope he's doing fine. I mean, hopefully. I mean, an F5 is bad to take. I mean, it could put you out for years.
Especially when you're not trained to take one.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're a commentator, you take one, who knows what that could do to your psyche, even, you know?
Yeah. PTSD from the F5.
I think there's no reason why Sam Roberts couldn't be commentator. I think fans would love that.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone loves Sam Roberts, so far as I can tell online. Let's see, on the chat a little bit, we got saying we froze, we're back. Digital media got shifted, which is cool. I mean, the digital media getting shifted, it's a hell of a team that puts out awesome work, but at the end of the day, I don't know if we're going to see a difference or notice a difference. Hopefully that means we get a new AI for Roman Reigns, so it stops being him in a t-shirt yelling. That'd be nice. Justin Time says this, though. He goes, call up Wade Barrett and put him on Raw and put Nigel McGuinness back on NXT. Wade Barrett's not a play-by-play guy, though. He's a color guy. And you already have not Cameron Grimes. You already have Corey Graves and Byron Saxton, who are also both color. You can't put a third color guy there.
Whoa, let's not bring race into this.
That's a good point. It's not the day. Fabtina says, no, I love him with Beth and Vic. Yeah, I think that too. I think Wade, Beth, and Vic work so well together. I don't know. I'm curious. I am really curious who they put in that spot. I'll give you that for sure.
Sean Mooney.
Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah, I should tweet at Sean and be like, hey, leave news.
Yeah, leave the news. Get back to your true calling.
Yeah. But, we'll see you down the road, Adnan Vert. It's nice to have you while we had you. Oh, cheers to action for you. Keep it coming.
Happy
Keep
trails.
it coming.
Yep.
Happy trails. Keep it coming. Keep the drinks a pouring. It's happy hour. Drinks are plentiful. Half price.
2 for ones tonight.
2 for ones. I think the other news that we'll hit on today before we get into the shows, though, is the sad one. It is the one. I mean, although we talked about some stuff that wasn't happy. Alexa Bliss has her beloved pig, Larry Steve, who fell ill quite suddenly yesterday afternoon, it seemed. She put out a Instagram story. It said, urgent. I need a vet that will take care of the pigs, because she said that her normal vet, she called and they said, yeah, I don't feel comfortable helping a pig that's not healthy. Essentially, she said, I feel comfortable giving him checkups, but once he's in that state, I don't feel comfortable working with the pig, which is bizarre. If you're the vet and you're seeing someone, don't you have to consider the idea of an emergency coming up and that being an issue you'll have to deal with? Like, you'd think you would have said that early on. Hey, I don't mind doing checkups, make sure he's good, but if worse comes to worse, you're going to need to go here or there or come up with a plan. You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't that?
It's kind of your fucking job.
It's kind of your fucking job. Yeah.
It's like a firefighter being like, yeah, I'm a firefighter, but as soon as there's a fire, call somebody else.
I don't feel comfortable with a house that's literally on fire.
Yeah. Too far.
Yeah, I don't mind doing a perimeter check or checking on a gas leak, but once the fire actually hits, I don't feel comfortable being a part of that. So fucking horrible.
I'll get cats out of trees all day.
Yeah.
When there's a fire.
Yeah, come on. That's different, man.
Come
That's
on
big.
now.
That's big. And I'll tell you this, and I don't want to put, and I'm not in no way trying to insinuate at all that any of this falls on, I mean, I'll just call her Lexi Kaufman because we're not really talking about a character here. But when you own an exotic pet, that's something that goes through your mind. We have a sugar glider. And when we moved to Arizona, one of the first things I did was start looking around at vets and exotic animal hospitals in town to see if any of them would take care of him if something happened. Because with sugar gliders specifically, when something goes wrong with them, because they're so small, that a little thing is a big problem, and things go from not good to critical in no time flat with the sugar glider because they're so tiny, and in that way kind of fragile. Like if they break their leg, they could bleed out in minutes, you know? So knowing where the nearest one was important to me, and then finding out which ones were not available was important, and then coming up with some sort of plan in my mind of, well, if the nearest one is literally hours away, is euthanasia like the best way? Do I just try to put him out of his misery? I mean, like, that's a weird conversation to have, but it's like something you have to consider when you love your pets and you know that they're special in their own way. But again, I'm not putting this at all on Lexi, but I will say that I feel like she was deceived in a way by finding a vet to take care of her pig, and then when the emergency hit, the vet saying no. That to me is ridiculous, because I just think about, like I said, my sugar glider. If I had a vet that I knew was taking care of him all the time, and then when I said, oh my God, something's wrong, and they said, ooh, well, now I'm not going to look at him, I would feel completely deceived and lied to, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
because I'm just trying to think if he's okay with the checkups. Like, how are you making sure that he's okay if you're not even going to check him when he's sick?
yeah.
Like, exactly how qualified is what I'm trying to say was this vet.
Yeah, I mean, like, were you checking the blood pressure or something and being like, yep, looks like a pig? Does he kind of, like, run around a little bit? Looks good to me. Like, yeah. I mean, were you just lying and taking her money and just saying, yeah, your pig looks fine because he looks fine, he looks like a pig? Like, fuck.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not comfortable, say it. I mean, and I was lucky that a lot of the vets I called told me flat out, yeah, I wouldn't feel comfortable dealing with him. Thank you for telling me now while he's fine, you know, because I don't want to get I mean, fuck, what she's going through is so fucking tough. And then, I mean, to make the story worse, he falls ill. It's urgent. She's calling around. She's being told by vet hospitals that to stop telling people to call vets about an Instagram pig, and she found that pretty dismissive, and that's understandable. And I mean, you mentioned it before. If their phones are blowing up like it's a telethon, then I can understand their stance. But at the same time, there's probably a more sensitive way to deal with that. But Larry, as of today, he passed away. It looked like in the middle of the night, judged off of when she posted the picture of her holding his little hoof. But she put out a video today where she's clearly been crying, her eyes swollen, cheeks rosy, raspy voice, and it's like, fuck, she's going through it. She's had Larry Steve for about 4 years. If anybody watches Total Divas, there's an episode where she gets him. She's hanging out with Nia Jax. They go to some weird little farm, and there's this little piglet running around. She falls in love with this piglet, and she gets him, and that's Larry Steve. And then they have him in the show for the rest of the season. I don't think she showed up for the season after that, but for that whole season, you see the little pig running around. Nia Jax tries to feed him bacon. That didn't go over well. It's crazy stuff. It was a fun show, and it was nice to see her with this little pig. It was funny. It was neat. And then what was also nice to see out of the whole thing is, because you never know about reality show what's real or fake, or I mean, you assume most of it's fake, but to see all these years later, she was still putting out pictures with her and a pig. I was like, that's so fucking dope, dude. She actually fucking fell in love with this pig and took the pig home and just making the pig happy. Like, that's so dope. And then to go through this and to go through the loss, all the while she had to drive to Raw. She was on her way to Raw when it was happening. And then she wasn't even on the show. And that hurt my feelings a little bit. That was one of those things where... That's one of those times where it's like, from knowing about what's going on with a person and then not seeing them on the screen kind of hurts. Unless maybe she got there and maybe they sent her home. I mean, she wasn't on. Maybe she wasn't on because they said no, go back home. You know what I mean? You don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and to me, it almost seems that way because especially how Raw ended.
Mhm.
You know, we'll obviously get into that, but it, like the whole time, you know, the ending, you know, sequence happened. I'm like, here comes Alexa, here comes Lily, you know, and then
Right.
nothing happened. And so, you know, we don't know. We weren't there. We're not going to pretend to know. We just
That's a good point.
speculate.
Yeah, we just speculate. We call it journalism. But that's a really
Mhm.
good point. With the way that it ended, I was 100% going, okay, this is where she's going to be, and she wasn't.
Mhm.
And then it was only a couple hours later she posted a thing with her and Larry. So it's like maybe they did just say, you know what, fuck it, we don't need you for this spot.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Jim Cornette called out when his pet rat died. Just gonna throw that out there.
Cornette would
Let's
have
see.
a rat.
He had a pet rat
That's
named
awesome.
George.
George?
Yeah,
King
the
George?
Let's see, hitting the chat real quick. Kuro's in the chat. Cheers, Kuro. Always love you
Cheers.
coming through. I'm happy you came through on our early happy hour show.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Poor Lexi and Murphy. What does this have to do with Murphy?
Murphy.
Oh, Murphy wrote on social media how much he loved Larry too. I mean, they were together when she got Larry, so I'm sure he spent a lot of time with it. And I know, I've got a good friend who was a roommate of mine in New York, and I remember him just completely breaking down one day, and he was just going through it, and I was asking him what was going on, and he's like, it might sound crazy, he's like, but my old roommate's dog died. And I was like, oh, and he goes, and I loved that dog. Like, me and the dog were always chilling. So I also get it. Other people get attached to these pets even if it isn't yours, right? I had a roommate who had a cat. The cat got along great with my sugar glider, which was crazy to watch. Them
That's
like
awesome.
hanging. Yeah, it was wild. And it was sometime last year that maybe it was less than a year ago the cat died, and I remember it bothered me. I wasn't as affected, but it bothered me. I was really upset. I was really sad for my friend and everything, but I just went through and found old pictures of the cat that I had taken where like the cat was like a living teddy bear. If you're on the couch and your arm was at least a little bit askew, the cat was going to find a way to get in there.
Nice.
You know? Yeah. So I get it. So yeah, Murphy, Lexi, I'm sure everyone else. Let's see. That's when you call a farmer and ask farmer if they know anyone. I mean, I mean, that's maybe a good idea because the farmer's got to try to keep their animals healthy. So I can't imagine every farmer is all like, "You sick? Put him down." You know what I mean? I gotta imagine some farmers are all like, "No, like fucking, he can get bigger." Is the thing, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah,
I just wonder, like, what he had or what did he come down with?
yeah, I'm fascinated by that too because it was so fast and it seemed so dire, so quick. And she'd said in her video even that they still weren't sure. They were still trying to piece it all together. The vet that did show up and take care of him, all the vet did really was give him enough pain medication to make him comfortable while he passed away. But that they were super unsure what's going on. I'm super curious too. I'm fascinated by that from just a perspective of that's not a little dude, you know. It's not like if my sugar glider got real ill and passed away within a day, I'd say, well, yeah, he's a little tiny dude, like he's a tater tot.
Yeah.
Like doesn't take long for that stuff to take him over. But that pig was like well over 100 pounds. So it's kind of
And
like
4 years, their lifespans, their life expectancies, a lot longer than that.
I would think, yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I'm curious about that too. I want to know when. Yeah, Kiro says that pig was huge. Yeah, that was my favorite part too. Is when you'd see the little videos of her with the piglet, and then you'd see the new pictures of him now. You're like, fuck, it's so crazy to like. For one, the piglet's the size of his snout now, and for two, it's one of those like. That's one of those. I don't like when people refer to their pets as their kids, but that's one of those mother's love things where you're like, that piglet's adorable, but that huge pig is ugly. You know what I mean? But I'm sure to her it was the most beautiful pig. You know, it was just. I'm sure she just loved him. You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't she? But it's just one of those things. It's just funny to me. I would just laugh because I'd be like, ugh, look at that pig, and I would smile about it because it's like, you know that, you know, She loves
I
them and
wonder
she's
how
taking care
much.
of them.
I wonder how much in those pictures was just actually like perspective. Because I mean, Alexa's tiny.
That's true too.
Like don't get me wrong, the pig's big, but
Yeah.
how big? Like,
Well,
put
some of the
pig next
pictures
to
were like
Bray
the pig
Wyatt
next to the
and-
dogs and stuff. Yeah, a picture next to Bray Wyatt. That's true.
Yeah.
Let's see. Kuro says pig was huge. 15 says probably about 200 pounds. Kuro says the pigs live about 15 to 20 years. I've got no reason to not believe that. Kuro has been a very good investigative journalist for us. He has been one of our best resources when I asked the
He's our
producer to
pig
look something
expert.
up. He's been the pig expert from the show since episode 1.
Yeah.
But let's see. He says I live in farm area in Canada. Carol, so far as I know, you've told us you live in Japan, Canada. I think you lived in Europe a while. You live in everywhere. You're a member of. You're just. What do they call that when you're just a citizen of the world?
I was gonna say. Oh, damn it! I can't think of the word.
I don't know either.
Like a gypsy.
Gypsy. I wasn't gonna say that,
Yeah.
but I'm all right with it.
Well,
He says I've lived a lot of
I was-
places. Hell yeah, dude. Like, I'm not saying you didn't.
Oh, what? Packies. That's what they call them in that one movie with Brad Pitt.
Oh, where he's Irish?
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
Packies. Yeah,
Huh.
they're like gypsies, but anyways.
A little bit different. All right, well.
Yeah.
Kira says mostly due to work. I believe you, man. I love it. I love it. Resident pig expert. Pig
CIA, FBI.
Well, you can't talk about it.
Yeah. Shh, I said work. I said too much.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, I mean, rest in peace to Larry Steve, pig of the wrestling world. Tears in our beers, and we'll see you down the road, piggy.
Yep.
Kiro says also really sad news. Kevin Dunn got promoted. I mean, I didn't read anything about Kevin Dunn, but at the same time, I don't know how you get promoted from that position. I thought literally he was the top of the food chain apart from Vince. So I don't know. I don't understand contracts. Let him do what he's gonna do. Let's see. Do you want to get into the shows, man?
Yeah, let's do it.
This is good. This is gonna be good. Yo, SmackDown. SmackDown opened up. Are you ready? Ready for what gets ya? Let's see. So it opened up with Sonya Deville in the ring, welcomed the audience to the extra special edition SmackDown, and then she let out the announcement. She squeaked it out just a little bit on the side that there is going to be fans in arenas again. They're going to start traveling in July, and the company's going to go back on the road, starting with SmackDown in Houston. And they made some other announcements about SummerSlam potentially in Nevada. Looks like Money in the Bank's going to be, I think, also in Texas. So it's happening. And, well, I mean, we'll start with there. We'll just take it bit by bit real quick. What do you think about them opening up travel again, man?
I'm excited. Like, seems like they've got a plan that they feel comfortable with to safely travel and, keep the fans and the talent safe. So let's fucking do it.
Yeah, and a lot of the country is vaccinated and more getting vaccinated, which is good. So hopefully we can get to a point where we can. If SummerSlam's in Vegas, are we going to SummerSlam, dude?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we have to, right?
Yeah.
Like, I haven't talked to the producer about it, but she's not here. She can't stop us. But if we make the
I
plans
know.
now,
Don't tell her. Hey,
No.
let's book our flights right now.
yeah, if we make the
On
plans
air.
now, then we're good. You, me, GR Lunar, we're going to SummerSlam, with or
Right.
without producer. It's going to be basically on her.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
You said you
Perfect.
didn't want to go, so you're not going. Or she comes.
Yeah. No, if she wanted to go, speak now, producer. If you want to go, just let me. I didn't hear anything.
It's like those secret Congress meetings that they have by themselves. Anyone object?
Yeah.
Nope.
Any
We're
objections?
good.
No?
Proceed.
All right. Well, you had your chance. You had your chance. Kiro says SmackDown, Money in the Bank, and Raw in July are all in Texas. That's cool. And then, yeah, some of this stuff going. Kiro's going to tell producer lady. I doubt it. We'll see, maybe. I think it's cool. I'm excited about it. We'll see. What's up?
Say quick, block them.
Yeah, block him. Let's see. So it didn't open up with the line of champions. You had, man, just so I can get the names
Mysterios.
right. You had the Mysterios. You had Natty Tamina. You had Apollo Crews. And
Apollo.
Is that it? I feel like there was another champion up there. That's it, right? Mysterios, Apollo, Natty Tamina, and Bianca Belair. I can't believe I forgot Bianca. Yeah. He says line of champions. It was a parade. Yeah, maybe it was a parade. I really like this, dude. The way that Sony did it, the way that she starts to announce everyone. Paul Heyman comes out to Roman's old Shield music, and then he just cuts a promo on all the title holders not being champions the way that Roman is. It was so good, man. I love Paul Heyman. Then when they're wrapping it up, Bayley comes out and cuts a promo on all of them. I like how she shits on the Mysterios. She shits on Natty Tamina, and then she goes, Apollo, what's up, my dude? You know?
Yeah, you're my dude.
And then she goes, and then the biggest cheater of them all.
Sorry, I was just real quick. I just like how they showed Apollo, and he was just kind of like, "Yep."
Yeah, just smiling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. What did you think of this opening segment in general?
Oh, it was great. Yeah, I liked the whole thing. I liked, I felt like when she first, had them all out there, I thought it was gonna be to announce like Charlotte's coming to SmackDown or something like that, and I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
But since that didn't happen, I'm happy.
Yeah.
And yeah, Bayley coming out was awesome.
Dude, Bayley's one of the best women on the mic, right? Is that just me being biased, or is she killing it when she's at the mic?
I would say she is the best. Because I really don't think there's anyone that really comes close to her.
I think when it comes to the natural ability to sound natural, the idea that she's not stuttering or getting caught up, her ability to emote while she's cutting these promos, I think other women are doing pretty good. I think Bianca's doing great. I think Sasha's solid. But I don't think that they're better than Bayley at it.
Yeah, they're good. They're not masters of the mic, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
You remember?
Yeah, I remember that. That was good.
It was a good, nice slam drop right there.
Yeah, it was a 1 in 40 right there, if I remember correctly.
I don't remember that much, but yeah. But anyways, yeah, Bayley. Like I said, I think she would have to. I think she's top.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Going. To me, there's a talk that who was it? Was it Xavier or Kofi? Said that when Vince trusts you, he'll just let you go. Yeah. And I think Bayley's there. To me, everyone else sounds extremely scripted. Maybe not extremely scripted, but they sound scripted.
Yeah.
In the women's division. Yeah. So that's why I think on the mic she's in a league of her own right now.
Well, good, because I mean, I keep feeling like that she's just there at that level, and I keep wondering if it's just my bias because I've watched her for so long and I've paid so close attention that seeing her be this far along, I'm like, am I just seeing it because I also remember when she was bad and I'm biased and so I'm putting too much on it? Or is she really there? Because when people have those conversations, because they do it all the time online, like, oh, who's the best of the 4 horsewomen and rank them and stuff. I really feel like Becky and Bailey is hard as far as like 1 and 2. I think the only reason that Becky would get above Bailey is just because of the crowd's love of her. Like, you can't deny the star power that is Becky. But I don't think that Becky's necessarily better or more smooth in the ring or on the mic than Bailey. I feel like that they're on par with each other, if not just personal preference on which one does what. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say they're definitely 1 and 2, with Sasha a little bit behind, but not as much.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it's sad, but Charlotte's 4th.
Yeah.
But, and I guarantee I think a lot of other people would say different, but, that's definitely my opinion, your opinion as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, Becky just had all that momentum when she became the man gimmick, and there was nothing you could do about it. And I think that might be like you said, the only reason why Bailey might be behind Becky.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I remember because I liked Bailey. I was never like a huge fan like you were, and we went to the Raw after Rumble. Was it 2 years ago now?
Yeah.
And everyone was singing Bailey's songs.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. This is great. Because I love the crowd interaction.
Yeah.
And that's one thing, even with Randy Orton during that show and Daniel Bryan, they did great, and none of that made the air.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was amazing. But, seeing how much everyone was behind Bailey and then rewatching the broadcast, and they edited all of that out.
Yeah.
And you could see where, the fans are cheering or chanting and singing her songs, and it's just normal crowd noise.
Yeah.
I'm like, why would you do that? That to me, like, made me think, like, damn, they really do just try and push who they want, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Cheers to Kuro if he's still in the chat. He said he had to go watch NXT. He was happy he could hang out while he could. We're happy to have you while you could. We know that we're counter programming NXT, and we don't expect everyone to come and hang and have a drink with us. But hey, maybe you pop us in one ear, you got NXT in the other ear, and still hang out, still chat.
Just put us on mute. We're okay with that too.
Yeah, put us on mute. But yeah, I just think that I thought it was awesome. I thought it was a really fun way to open the show.
Mm-hmm.
It did lead into Bianca, Natalya, and Tamina against Baszler, Nia Jax, and Bailey. This is a pretty solid match.
Yeah. For what it was, it was a solid match. Everyone, performed like they were supposed to. I forget the outcome of it though.
I believe Shayna Baszler choked out Natalya with a Karafuda clutch.
Okay.
Which I didn't love. I didn't love that Shayna choked out Natalya and submitted, but they did put on earlier on in the match. Michael Cole put over Natalya as being one of the most technically gifted women in all of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And they talked about how skilled she was, about the dungeon stuff. So they're really putting over how talented and skilled and technical she is, which I think that they even had her be distracted when Shayna came up from behind her and locked in the clutch. And you see her kind of like wiggle a little bit and then tap out. I think it was one of those, like, she was blindsided. It was kind of a submission form of a sucker punch. And she just knew there was no escaping it because of how good she is. She would know how to escape it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it put over the clutch. It put over Shayna as being mean and vicious and having a killer move. So I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it because I like Natalya to look strong as fuck. But, it is what it is.
See, I'm okay with it. Like, don't get me wrong. It sucks in the aspect that they're the women's tag champs right now.
Mm-hmm.
So for them to drop a match like that to the defending champs or have the defending champs get the victory, I'm like, eh. But at the same time, like, I just want Shayna to have a solo run again.
Yeah, me too.
Definitely not to the point of how dominant she was there, but just let her do her.
Yeah, get her away from Nia. They need to break
Yeah.
that team up bad.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that on Raw. But I do think that Natalya kind of got her skill back. This other thing too is that by putting over Natalya and Shayna as elite grapplers and technicians, I think is an interesting way to get them both some credibility back. Because Natalya's lost a number, and Shayna's been in this goofy, weird losing streak with this whole goofy thing. So, I don't know. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I get it. I don't know. I was like kind of in the middle about it. Where it happened, I was like, all right, well, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I didn't think this should never happen because of some stuff I see online too. No one should ever. And of course, I mean, guys, relax. Just try and figure out the story they're telling. You know what I mean? Like, live in it for a second. Oh, dude, when Bianca was going for her, she does the handstand into the ropes and springboards backwards, and Bayley catches her up by the arms, flops her down, drags her out, and Bayley to bellies her on the outside of the ring. How fucking smooth was that?
Yeah. It was a nice transition. So smooth. It looked great and natural.
Yeah.
Real good.
Yeah. It was fantastic. And I thought that everyone that was in the ring with Bayley, I thought they were doing an awesome job again. It was just solid, man. I liked it. I mean, it was in the sense that, like, hey, every WWE show opens up with a promo and then has some sort of obligatory random matchup of people in a big tag match that only sort of pushes a storyline. I feel like in that regard, it was fantastic because you did have Bayley get some heel heat talking shit on the Mysterios. I loved how she talked some shit on Natty and Tamina about only being relevant all of a sudden, and how Natty and Tamina got fired up and were like, fuck you, dude. I thought it was obviously funny when she did the Apollo thing. But then I thought that the match itself, like we just said, it put Bayley in a position where she's dominating Bianca, so that she rightfully deserves another shot at the title. It put Shayna in potentially a storyline here as being a technician against Natalya.
Natty.
Yeah, that whole thing, and it does kind of start to have Shayna branch away from the Shayna-Nia thing, and then it does highlight that Nia can also disappear at this point, I suppose. So everyone has got future written all over him, you know? But it was cool. I love watching Tamina and Nia wrestle. When they're in the ring together, they're not afraid of hurting each other. And I think that that's huge.
Yeah.
Because
it,
yeah.
you heard the stories of Shawn and Triple H going at it. And they were literally just beating the shit out of each other. So when you have people, putting, stiff shots together, it looks great.
Yeah.
Like that one Mania where it's Roman and Brock.
Yeah.
I think it was the one that Seth, the heist of the century.
Yeah.
Like they were putting stiff shots, like, for a while there, it looked like there was actual animosity. I don't know if there was or not, but it seemed like one person hit the other one. Oh yeah, then the other one hits them harder. Then the other one hits them harder, and they go back and forth like that. And when people aren't afraid to, put in a stiff shot on the other person and vice versa, it looks great and mean.
It's so good. Dude, that match was so brutal with Roman and Brock that me and Clump were talking about it when we worked together in the same place, and we're all like, we had the same lunch that day, and I pulled out my iPad, I whipped it out, and we watched that match on our lunch break together. And as we're watching it, we're both just like, God damn, this is more than we remembered. Like, it's one of the ones where you remember it being brutal, but I challenge you to go back and watch it and not think that this is more brutal than you remember. You remember it being stiff shots, and then you watch it and you go, God, fuck, what are we watching? This is just a goddamn fight. This is just a slow fight. Yeah, it is. It was gnarly. It was awesome. One of my favorite
Oh,
lunches
yeah.
I ever had at that place. Not that I had horrible lunches all the time, but it's just one of my favorites. You know.
Stood out beyond the other lunches.
Yeah, it just stood out that way. It was funny that you mentioned Sean right then in Triple H, because I was about to say earlier, and I totally spaced because we've been cheersing a lot this episode so far, and producer can't stop me. Was that I feel like that when you and I talk about Bailey and Becky, it feels to me very similar to the conversations we've had about HBK and Bret Hart.
Brett, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, who's better is such a difficult conversation because you go, well, at what and for what? And, like, they're neck and neck as greatest of all time for anyone who's a true lover of wrestling long term. Like, there's no way you don't have Bret and Sean in the conversation, but the conversation is there, right? And then the argument constantly, who's better, Bret or Sean? That's like the argument. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Michael
to me,
or Kobe
yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and then you obviously have Undertaker, Stone Cold, and The Rock, which are just in a league of their own as far as just they broke the code. You know what I mean? They got the game genie on it. And so what are you going to do? But for everybody else who's mortal, you look at them and you go, okay, well, who gets that fourth spot on the Rushmore, right? Because you put together the Rushmore and you're like, well, I can't not put Stone Cold, Rock, and Undertaker whether I liked him or not, just because they broke the code. They broke it. But then you're like, well, so who's going to get that fourth spot? And then that's the huge argument. And then people go, should it be HBK? Should it be Bret Hart? Should it be, you know what I mean? Like that's the argument. So for me, talking Bailey versus Becky is just, it's right up there with talking HBK or Bret.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
And I think in very similar ways.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, and truthfully, with that argument, you can't be wrong.
Yeah, there's no
Either
wrong
way.
answer.
Yeah.
Those are the discussions I love, dude. Someone put out on, I want to say, maybe I should find it because this is actually an account I really enjoy online, and there's so much crazy negativity and one of these has to go, which is the worst, all that shit. And it's always like, why do we have to go to this weird place of just negativity for entertainment's sake?
Yeah.
But there's somebody I had it the other day. Fuck, it's got to be right here. But they posted. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, to me, those, because I see them too about like, pizza, tacos, burgers, and wings, or something like that. One of these got to go. And to me, it's just more of a conversation starter, not necessarily like which one's trash. To me, it's like to me, I take it as a friendly debate starter.
But what's your end goal? To figure out the worst. That's the end goal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
True.
So your conversation is, here's these 4 things that are good. What's the worst of them? That's really the conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you were to say only one survives, then it's an interesting conversation to me, because then it's like, what's the absolute best of these 4 crazy good things? You know what I mean? And that's why I wanted to put over this guy here. So on Instagram, it's unpopular.review. I love this guy. I don't know who runs the account. I've been following it a long time, but he put out this one. It said, they're put into a fatal 4-way match. Who survives? And he showed Cena from 06 and 07, Seth Rollins in 2015, Tribal Chief Reigns 2020 to 2021, and Orton from 2009. Oh, and it looks like that actually he may have redone that one from IMLNG, art by IMLNG. I don't know if he asked the person to put it together or not, but I would highly recommend following both those accounts. But I love that conversation concept. They're put into a fatal 4-way. Who survives? And you talk about 4 absolutely dominant characters of their era in their era. You have a fatal 4-way like that. Who's coming out? Like, that to me is a fun conversation, you know?
Yeah. And I like how they put the year.
Yes.
Or, the span of this character between this time and this time. Because, somebody can actually sit there and do the homework and be like, oh, Randy Orton in 2009 lost to, CM Punk, and CM Punk turned around and beat Cena this time, and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah, you could get real analytical about it.
Yeah. But I like that there's a time period, because you would think that there's a bad loss or two in each of those, columns
Yeah.
for each guy. And then you
Yeah,
say, okay, well, which one's worse? Okay, that guy's out. Then, okay, there's so many different ways you can sit there and spin it.
100%. I mean, like, you look at Seth Rollins right then, and you're like, well, Seth Rollins in 2015 couldn't beat Brock. He had to pin Roman. But I think Cena 06-07, isn't that the year isn't that when he beat Brock at SummerSlam? In that bloody bout? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can get really into it. Or you could even say, if it was before, you could be like, well, that was before Cena was able to beat The Rock. Like, I mean, or Brock. I mean, not Rock, but you know what I mean? Like, you could really get into it. So,
Well, then
I
you can
100%
also
agree.
just go with championships too, because in 15, wasn't that when Seth had both the U.S. and the world title?
That's true, too. Yeah.
And Roman
know, I
Reigns
just
only
like
has
stuff
the
like that.
Universal title, and that shit's
Only?
kind of garbage.
Only the Universal title?
Only
He's
the
put
Universal
prestige. He has put the prestige on that title.
title.
That title is how he feeds
on
the
it.
family.
Family's not eating well.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's at least making that title prestigious. I will say that, at least now. The last few, like, pretty much from its inception, we've always kind of just shit on it.
Yeah, we've had a hard
Like,
time.
out
with
of
it.
all the titles across WWE, you and I would agree that one's, until recently, at the very bottom.
Yeah. We said a number of times if it disappeared, we wouldn't give a shit. And I feel bad because it's had some incredible champions. When you think about Kevin Owens' career, that's the world championship he had. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He never held any other world type championship. He had the NXT title for a short period of time. And I feel bad for that in that regard because he was the first real champion with the Universal title. He still doesn't get that name. He still doesn't get that record book notch because that goes to Finn because Finn won it. But then the next night, Kevin Owens had it and held it for almost a year, and he's still not recognized in that regard. Also, because Brock had a longer Universal title, he doesn't even have the longest reigning. Like, Kevin Owens got washed away in the history of the Universal title because Goldberg came in and just fucking crushed him and took it on.
Who has the most title reigns with it? Is it Goldberg or Roman?
Goldberg only had it once. No, you're right. He got it that second time.
I'm just wondering, has there been a 3-time Universal champion? Pulling out my Googler.
Yeah, Google that one. Look that one up. But we'll keep it moving. We will keep it moving because we're not far along. Fabtina looks frustrated in the chat. I'm not sure why. I apologize. King Corbin comes out to the ring and
has no crown.
No crown. Michael Cole's saying he can't be a king without a crown. It's hysterical because it's nonsensical, and he is adamant. And Pat McAfee is arguing with him. Go ahead.
That was above on me. So Brock has the most reigns with 3, and he actually has the longest reign.
Yes. I knew he had the longest. I didn't know if he had 2 or 3. I thought he only had 2, but I guess he won it from Goldberg. Oh, yeah, because he lost it to Seth and got it back from Seth. And then...
I thought it was Roman. He lost it too. Oh, no. You're right. You're right.
Seth beat him like twice for it or some shit. And then he got it again. And then he dropped it to Drew McIntyre.
Yep.
So, yeah. Because the Seth and Brock went back and forth real quick. So, all right. Yeah. That makes sense. But, yeah, as far as that goes, I agree. So Corbin comes out, no crown. Michael Cole's like, well, he can't be a king without a crown. Pat McAfee says, put some respect on that king. Dude, this whole segment was absolute insanity. We had Baron Corbin in the ring, no crown. You had Boogs come out and introduce himself as Boogs, playing Nakamura's theme song on the guitar. Really good job on it. You had Pat McAfee losing his fucking mind about Boogs. Then you had Pat McAfee try to say Boogs as many times as he could say Boogs.
Yeah.
It was insane, and it was so funny. And then you ended up with Baron Corbin versus Shinsuke Nakamura, which was a fucking phenomenal match. It was great.
Yeah. Great
It ended
match.
up in a roll-up. Shinsuke wins and leaves with the crown. Boogs playing more of Shinsuke's music. This is crazy. And even Pat McAfee, I thought, had a great line where he goes, "It never even considered to me that Boogs and Shinsuke Nakamura could be a team I would ever see together, and there's nothing better in this world than them together." And you're like, in a sense, I can't disagree with you, Pat McAfee,
Yeah.
because this
You're
would
right.
not have been. Yeah, I would not have picked this. If someone said, "Hey, what do you think is going to be a pretty good teaming?" I never would have gotten to, well, Boogs and Shinsuke would have a good little thing going.
Yeah.
You know?
Was Boogs the Old Spice guy from that
Yes.
one? Okay, I thought so.
Yep. GR Lunar, famed Goldberg fan, friend of the show. He loves Boogs. He's been putting him over for a long time, since he used to be on the show officially.
Really?
Yeah. He was always talking about how he thought the guy was so good and so funny and was going to be a big star. And I was always like, he's not that funny.
But then
dude,
he shreds Shinsuke's music. Oh, so good.
it was crazy good. And the
Yeah,
way
then-
he was fucking talking even.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And
It was
then,
wild.
like, how excited McAfee got. That just cherry on top.
yeah. McAfee's utter heart-bursting excitement was so fucking good, dude. It was insane. And then it even cut because they couldn't even help it. McAfee is air guitaring in Michael Cole's face,
So good.
and he doesn't know or care if he's on camera. He's doing it because that's who Pat McAfee is, and that's how he is in his heart. He
Yep.
can't stop that. And that's amazing. That is amazing. So good, man. Let's see. So
No, truth-
Nakamura wins. Go
Truthfully, I
ahead.
was going to say, I think this was my highlight of the show. Just seeing Boogs out there. Like, Shinsuke's music sounded so good with him freaking, playing it or playing along with it. And then, like you said, McAfee and, just being him. And, the air guitar in front of Cole. They cut to him. Cole's kind of looking annoyed by it, but I loved it.
No, 100%. What? I'm getting told in the chat that there's no feed and we're frozen, but on my side, everything looks good. Everything says online.
Yeah, I mean,
Seeing the stream going. I'm seeing the camera change when I do stuff. Like, everything looks okay. I would say maybe close and open your app again and see, because even on my stream, I'm looking at it on my phone. I'm seeing myself check all that shit. So, but everything looks good. But yeah, this could easily have been highlight of the night. I couldn't not smile crazy big this entire segment, dude.
yeah. This kind of this is the way I feel when I see Riddle. Like, it's just stupid excitement, and it made me laugh.
Yeah.
Makes me laugh.
Yeah, no, 100%. So good, dude. So good. Let's see. After that, we had Roman Reigns come out. He cut a little bit of a promo with Jey Uso, Paul Heyman putting him over like crazy, and Cesaro comes out. I really like the back and forth between Roman and Cesaro. He goes, "You want me to break your other arm? Like, what do you?"
Mm-hmm.
And then, Cesaro being like, "I'll beat you with one arm" and stuff. It was just funny. It was good. Rollins comes back, attacks Cesaro. It was... Seth is going nutty on this, where he's all screaming like, what was it? When are you going to learn?
Yeah. I'm liking it, truthfully, a lot.
I love it.
Like,
Dude, I love everything
the
in this. I
whole-
liked Roman being like, "Hey, I'm not going to brag, but I'm going to let Paul Heyman say what he wants to say." And so then Paul Heyman brags for Roman.
Yeah. Well, what I was gonna say is I like it with Seth because the Monday Night Messiah, and then the leader or whatever he was on SmackDown. What were they calling him? Was it just the
Uh,
Messiah?
I think it was the Messiah. Then it was just Embrace the Vision. They didn't quite call him the Messiah.
Yeah, Embrace the Vision. Like, I was just like, eh. Like, I never got behind it. And seeing this weird dynamic of Roman and Seth with their past, and they're seemingly to be on the same page, when it comes to Cesaro, I'm liking. Like, excuse me, the SmackDown writers, in my eyes, brought two characters together in a storyline, and it's working so smooth to me.
Yo, I don't think you were here for it, so I'm going to ask you because I know you got caught up on it. We went over some stuff last week, but the week before this one, when Seth Rollins, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, when Seth Rollins and Roman, when Seth got, when he lost the match to Cesaro because Jimmy Uso got involved, and then Seth and Roman were in the back, the way Roman was talking to Seth, dude, I don't know if you felt that way, but I know me and Bishop both did. It felt an awful lot like Roman talked different to Seth than he's talked to anyone else. He talked to Seth with respect. And he was saying, let me handle it. He talked to him firmly, but with a load of respect. He didn't talk down to him at all.
He talked to him as an equal.
Yes.
Not, like you said, talking down to him. No, I 100% got that. And that's why I'm thinking, or, I said with their past. And it's like, hey, like, it's not like from when a character, moves on and then revisits it, it's, all of a sudden different. Like, to me, they revisited it and it's the same. In the fact that, hey, I respect you. I know what you can do. We went to war together. You're still, like my brother. I'm not going to say it, but there's still, like you said, that respect there.
Yeah.
And it was like two heads of I don't want to say a gang, but two heads of like a company or groups that came together and were like, hey, I'm gonna do this, don't worry, I got it. I thought it was great. I liked it. I like what they're doing with them.
And I love this little touch too where Seth doesn't mind getting involved in Roman's business, and Roman's not about to stop him either, because they do have this mutual respect for each other and see each other as equals. I also think that there's a lot to be said for Seth. I don't remember if I talked about this with you or not, dude, but I heard on a podcast recently where they were talking about how Seth and Cesaro, because they ended the pay-per-view, I think it was with you, where they ended the pay-per-view with Seth and Cesaro, and they're like, people were kind of online being like, oh, it's weird that they ended with like a mid-card storyline. And then some of the reviews I was hearing from the experts, as they always tout themselves, was they're not mid-carders. Seth Rollins and Cesaro are main event level talent. And my argument was, the argument isn't if their talent isn't there, it's where are they on the card. And Cesaro and Seth is typically in the middle of the card. It's just amazing that the mid-card talent happens to be that loaded with real talent. Like, you have main event capable people for sure. No one thinks they're not main eventers. It is still the mid-card, and I think that's fantastic and should be celebrated. Can you imagine how good our mid-card is if it's this?
Yeah. Well, and that's what we said, too, from that, is they have main event talent across the roster. Yeah. And, it just happens that they're in the mid-card right now. And, like you said, if the mid-card's is good, the rest should be better.
Yeah. But because the mid-card is that good, they can shift into the main event scene no problem. Because they are that good. You know what I mean? And so I really like the idea that if Seth and Roman see themselves as equal, Seth isn't coming after Roman. Because Roman's doing his thing and I'm doing my own thing, and, you know what I mean? No need. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I love that when they're getting a little bit involved here is pretty dope.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Oh, Fabtina says in the chat his suit was ridiculous. Seth's suit. All of his suits are fucking outrageous.
Dude, he's going to the same tailor as damn it, I forgot his name. Craig Sager. The old NBA analysis
Oh,
guy.
nice.
Yeah, I mean, his suits were crazy. Sis are a little more off the top right now, but
Yeah.
they gotta be. He's in WWE.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Go all the way.
Yeah.
Let's see. After that, unless there's something else you want to say about any of that.
No.
Move it along. Move it along. We had Dominic versus Bobby Roode. Robert Roode. Let me see here. Dominic got the win. Wasn't there some stuff going on? Ray countered. What? Hold on. I'm reading the notes here. Ray and Dominic hit the ring 5 days. Dominic was to Ray countered. Oh, Ziggler and Ray are on the outside. And then Dominic does a 619. Finished with a frog splash. Got the win. I didn't have any issue with this, man.
No. To me, it solidified Dominic as a competitor. You know, I just wish that, you know, I know it's kind of hard because they're in a tag team, you know, storyline, but excuse me, I just wish it would be like a one-on-one and he gets a clean win, no interference from either, and
Yeah.
just to, you know, just to put him over.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I think it's good. And to be honest, like, I think that people's problem with Dominic, because people have problems with Dominic. I don't. I think he's good. But I think the people's problem with Dominic is that there aren't any house shows. And what that means is it's still his first year of his career. He isn't able to run the house show loops and do 7 or 8 shows or matches in a week to get used to people. If people want to talk about how amazing American Alpha versus FTR was, you have to remember that they were on the house show loop together. Those two teams had matches dozens of times. The only problem we have now is that because we don't have house shows for people to do that, they're still doing it, but it's just all televised now. So the repetitiveness is these competitors trying to have matches together and learn and grow together. But it's just all televised in a way now where we finally get to the last match, which is perfect, but we saw the whole thing leading up to it. AJ and Samoa Joe, how many times did they wrestle on TV?
Yeah.
Like 4 times, maybe?
Yeah.
But they were on the house show loop together. We saw them wrestle against each other twice untelevised, and that was within the time span of like 2 years. So it's also like, well, shit, they've been rolling together, having matches night after night after night together for a really long time. That's just part of the business. So I think people trying to say that they're tired of it, that Dominic and Mysterios need to get away from Dirty Dogs, they're just not. I mean, and I get it. We're viewers. We are viewers. We're not insiders. We're not part of the business, and how things work backstage don't impact us in our viewing, you know, preferences. But you're not letting Dom really learn here. He's learning from literally 3 of the greatest wrestlers in the history of the business. Dolph Ziggler, Robert Roode, and Rey Mysterio training and teaching Dominic Mysterio. Who else are you going to put him in with match after match after match to get him up to speed? Because he does not have a lot of time to get going on his own. It's not going to be too long before he's on a singles tear, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, the other thing is who do these people want to see them go after, or what other team do they want to see go after the titles from the Mysterios? Because outside of the Alpha Training Academy or whatever they call themselves, I can't really think of any other heel tag teams if you're going to go off the traditional heel versus face.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's hard to say. I don't know. There's not very many teams in there in general. I think you could still have exhibition matches, but is it going to be as interesting or whatnot? I just think this. I think everything that's going on with the Mysterios is nice. It's so nice, and it's historic, and it's its own thing, and I don't think that it needs to be overanalyzed to the point of trying to diminish The idea that these guys can't be learning at any given moment. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This isn't going to be long term the end all be all of the legacy of anyone in these matches. This is what they're doing for right now, and it's amazing. For what it is, it's absolutely amazing. You've talked about it before. You heard it? Did you hear it when Pat McAfee said it? After you said it, the next week, he goes, "This reminds me of the Griffies."
Oh, really?
He said, "Yeah." He goes, he said, "This is like when Ken Griffey Jr. and Sr. were on the same team together."
Nice.
And I was like, "Kev just said that." It was like literally the same week or the week after.
Nice.
Yeah. So it was 100%. All that stuff is amazing. It's feel good. It's great. Let it be what it is. We also maybe we have to realize that WWE's been around for, I don't know, 60 years at this point. If 4 or 5 months of 60 years is Ray and Dominic working together and being champions for a bit, it's a blip, it's a moment in history, and it's amazing. And relax.
Yeah.
Not everything needs to be WrestleMania main event every single night.
Yeah.
Do we think of Bob Orton and Randy Orton working together for that 3 months as the greatest moment in Randy Orton's career?
No.
Do we even think about it much at all?
No, I don't think about it until you bring it up.
Yeah. You know who thinks about it and thinks it was one of his favorite moments?
Bob and Randy.
Yeah. 100%. So fucking relax, guys. Let this be their moment. We're living in an amazing moment in their guys' lives.
Yeah. And not many people, can still be active and competitive when their sons are old enough to, be in the business as well.
Yes.
So when you can have, these, father-son duos, let it be. Because I remember when the Natural Dustin Rhodes came out.
Yeah.
And I remember Dusty and, how excited he was about it.
Yes.
If, you could ask Dusty, hey, would you want to have a tag title run with your son? Would you do it? Like, that would have, like you said, he would have held that to such high regards.
Yeah.
It would have been ridiculous.
Yeah. It'd have been one of the greatest moments of his career. He teamed with his son 1 time or 2 times or some shit. And if you can find interviews where they both talk about how amazing it was for what it was when it was.
Yeah.
So,
because
there's
there's people that work together, but they've never had, champions.
Mm-hmm.
And this is great.
Yeah. This is amazing. And it's a blip in history, so everyone needs to fucking relax. No, it's not the end-all, be-all. No, it's not the greatest thing that's ever happened in the history of wrestling, but to them, it is.
Yeah.
So,
and plus, look at what these titles have been for the past year or 2 years.
Yep.
They've been on the Street Profits.
Yeah. And it's not meant much. Right now, you have real emotional champions in both SmackDown and the women's divisions.
Mm-hmm.
The women's tag team championships headlined Raw this week. Say what you will about Raw. It's still the flagship show to a degree. I think there's an argument to be made that it's not. But it still is the longest running WWE show out there.
Mm-hmm.
And it headlined with Natty and Tamina holding the tag titles. Like, yes.
Yeah.
It's amazing what they're doing for the tag divisions right now, and people are shitting on it because it's not who they want when they want. And it's just like bullshit. Relax, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Let it be what it is. Sometimes things can mean a lot if you sit back and let it. But I'll give you, as viewers and not family members, it will mean less to us. But fuck you, dudes. I mean,
see, and I think the exact opposite. I think to me, as a viewer, being a father, I think I hold that to high regard. I love it.
yeah. No.
I don't think it's going to be a blip. When I think about it, like I said, I don't think it's going to be a blip. I don't think, I'll remember this.
I think in the long-term WWE history and moments, that moment will be remembered and will be highlighted from time to time. But these matches with the Dirty Dogs is just part of the blip. I mean, it's hey, you run with it as long as you can, you do the best you can, get the best matches. He's learning and training with his father. Like, how fucking amazing is that? And guys like Ziggler and Rude, like, how amazing is that? And yeah, maybe you just let it be a bit of a blip with a highlight, and move on. Like, you don't have to tear apart things that are amazing for somebody. Oh, you love it. It's an amazing thing to you. Well, how about this? Wouldn't this make it terrible? Well, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, well, I hate it. Well, fuck off then.
Yeah.
How about one of them's?
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm going to say this because we've had a lot of cheers tonight. Anyone who's shitting on the Dominic and Rey Mysterio thing, but loving everything that -1 does on AEW can fuck themselves.
100%.
Sometimes it's a little bit bigger than you seeing the same match 3 fucking times.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I think what AEW did with -1, I think that's great.
Yeah.
I think it's
I'm
cool.
not saying anything's wrong with it.
Yeah. But when and this is, I've said it 100 times, one of my biggest pet peeves are these double standards out there where -1's great, Mysterio's bad. It's like you said, goddamn near the same thing.
Yep.
Like to shit on one just because you're an AEW fan or vice versa, look at it. Take a step back and look at it.
Not only is it really close to the same thing, but playing devil's advocate, at least Dominic Mysterio's an adult who can make his own decisions.
Yeah. I've thought about that as well. I don't know the child labor laws in Florida, but
yeah. But
anyways, cheers to Mysterios. Let's do it.
Cheers to Mysterios. Let me pour a drink right now. And cheers to -1 too. While we're at
exactly. I was
I don't
actually
have an issue with the kid.
thing. No. And I feel bad for
saying
what he's
some
going
people-
through.
Oh my god, yeah. Yo, if I could hug one person in the wrestling industry right now, it's probably -1. You know what I mean? But let's see, I'm having right now what's in my glass just changed up, just got turned up a notch. Woodford Reserve Kentucky Straight Rye Whiskey.
But if I could hug anyone right now, it'd be Alexa. She needs a hug.
That's a good point. Alexa Bliss needs a goddamn hug.
She needs, Poor Larry.
Producer showed
I
up
had
and she
pigs
started giving me
growing up.
shit, dude. I knew this was gonna happen.
Oh god, show's canceled.
I
Last
fucking knew
call.
this was gonna happen. We better wrap it up. I show up, she immediately just starts giving me shit. She's like, "Look, you piece of shit." She goes, That won't be the only pig that dies today." You know.
I didn't say anything.
I heard that verbatim.
I didn't say shit.
Cheers to the Mysterios. Cheers to -1. Cheers to families in wrestling. Ooh, nice and smooth. All right, let's wrap up SmackDown. The last match of the night was a fatal 4-way. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Big E, Apollo Crews. Holy shit, what a match, man. Everyone in this. You want to talk about mid-card being main event? It's like we've said it 100 times at this point. There is no non-main eventer on SmackDown. There is nobody on SmackDown that couldn't main event any given pay-per-view. And this was another big showing of that. Here's your, quote, mid-card title, the Intercontinental title. Apollo Crews, Big E, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. And all of them did fucking phenomenal in this match. I was on the edge of my seat this match, screaming, hooting, hollering. As we get towards the end, all the lights come on. It's the opposite of what we normally see, which I really liked. Because typically, and on some other shows, all the lights go out. It happens every week on Dynamite. All the lights go out and everyone goes, "What's happening? What's happening?
AEW can't pay their electric bill. That's what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a power problem over there. But all the lights go on. It gets bright. It gets foggy, smoky, farty.
No.
You know?
Mhm.
No.
Someone's
then-
lighting that turd on fire.
Lighting the turd on fire, getting a smoke a brewing. And then poof goes the dynamite. Aleister Black comes out. One eye fucked up, which is awesome because he had his eye ripped out by Seth Rollins a long time ago. They're not just different colors. One's just a pupil. There's no iris. That's damaged due to steel step, a la Seth Rollins. Go ahead, Kev. What were you saying?
No, I was gonna say the same thing. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes when you get that eye injury, it's just a white eye.
Yeah. We learned that from Jake the Snake when he got spritzed in the eyeball by Rick the Model Martel and his spritz bottle.
Was it supposed to be tanning lotion?
I thought it was model lotion. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like a big bug spray thing, but he did it like it was perfume.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It,
So I thought it
it
was like,
reminded me of those old cartoons where that is like the perfume or the bug spray thing.
yeah,
It was like,
yeah. So the guy had like a super soaker of cologne, destroyed Jake's eyeball. But I digress. Aleister Black comes out, one eye open, as they say, comes out, does the old Black Mass spinning heel kick to Big E in the facial area.
Facial area.
Yep. And Apollo
right
Crews
next to
gets
the
the win
solar
from there.
plexus.
It's next to the solar plexus, the facial area. And you get a win by Apollo Crews, who's happy, and Aleister Black leaves. I posed the question, which I was told was awful, and I think I'll pose the question again.
I hope it's the same question that I had.
Oh, yeah, I want to hear yours first.
I was just
What'd you-
wondering if Aleister Black's gonna be like the first lieutenant of Nigeria.
See, it was similar. I was thinking, well, with Apollo Crews' new Nigerian thing, do you think that he's really leaning into the black of Aleister Black? You know what I mean? If he comes out and he goes all like, I am also from South Africa, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of, I think Nigeria is North Africa, but if he were to say, hey, I'm from South Africa, it turns out.
He's not.
What? I'm just saying. And he's all like, plus, my name's Black, so like, you know.
From Netherlands.
That's true, he's from the Netherlands.
That's North Africa.
Oh, I was going to say that's crotch. I've been under the impression this whole time that Netherlands is crotch. So if I'm wrong, someone will have to Google that. Producer's got to go. We're gonna wrap it up. But how cool was this to bring back Aleister Black? This match was also fucking phenomenal. I don't have a problem with any of it, and I'm really excited to see what they do with Aleister Black moving forward. What do you think about this whole thing before we wrap up SmackDown?
I liked it. The match was amazing. It sucks now because I don't take notes ever, but I saw the ending and then I went back and rewatched Alistair's storytelling. I forgot what they called it. And I was trying to see if there was a correlation between the match and his story. And now I forget what I came to. I forget if there was. I don't think there was.
I
was
didn't
trying to find,
catch
like,
one.
Yeah, I think I went and rewatched it and I was like, there has to be a little Easter egg in there somewhere. But
We got to look and see what... I wonder if Big E and Aleister Black's ever crossed paths before, like when it was the pick a fight with me. Black.
yeah,
I
because
wonder
they
if
weren't
during
in
that
NXT
era-
at the same time, right?
They weren't. So I wonder if during that era, if him and Big E had a thing or not. But I don't know. So I don't know. We'll have to look because I'll tell you, I did rewatch it and I did not catch something explicit in his diatribe, as it were. It was all like, I'm gonna go kick the head off of a dude who is entitled or something. Like, he didn't say anything like that. So,
well, I know he said something to the effect of, he didn't say positive or positivity, but they did say something about it being somebody viewing the world so bright. I think it was.
oh,
Or like sunshine and rainbows. I think that maybe that's what I remember.
oh, that could be.
I forgot exactly. I'm not gonna rewatch it. I'm lying to you guys.
Yeah, no, we're not gonna rewatch it, but we'll just hope they catch it on the next one.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
But that's
Did you want to get?
SmackDown.
Yeah, we can move on to Raw. We can talk Raw. I'll tell you that SmackDown was amazing. I loved it.
Yep.
I think, every second of SmackDown this week.
Per the norm.
Per the norm. I think SmackDown is the single most entertaining wrestling show on TV every week.
Yeah.
All right, good. Now, Raw. Different story. Here's the deal.
Different chapter.
It is a different chapter. I do think that this Raw was one of my favorite Raws in a long time. This one was pretty solid.
I was gonna say it's been better than most.
Yes. And every match on Raw was spectacular. Surprisingly. There was no match on there that was just absolute trash. There was a match we'll talk about that I wasn't a fan of. But none of them were just all like, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we get a lot of that. I think we get a lot of that.
Yeah.
But let's talk Raw. Go ahead and say what you're going to say.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
Dick. So it opened up with MVP coming out with Bobby Lashley in the Ho Train.
Mm-hmm.
The Ho Train.
Damn it. I was
Light
taking
up,
a
fatty.
drink. I was trying to get it out before you.
Oh, nice. Light up, fatty. For this pimp daddy, as they say. As they say.
Who says?
The Godfather.
They.
He says it. And they. They open up with that. MVP and Bobby Lashley says, hey, we want to have an open challenge. We don't want it to be some schmo Mackinfart type. And then Mackinfart comes out, and he's like, oh, well, oh, here I go.
Here I go again on my own.
Yeah. Here I go again on my own. Ba-da-dum-dum. Oh, y'all just think you're out here dust in the wind.
That's the worst impression.
But Bobby Lashley goes out there. Drew McIntyre goes out there. And then Kofi Kingston goes out there. And Kofi Kingston rips Drew McIntyre's full asshole directly out of his body and makes a bagel out of it.
Amazing.
It was amazing. He's all like, and especially even the way he's all like, I beat you, Bobby. And then Drew's like, oh, yeah, you're welcome. And he goes, whoa, whoa, whoa. Kofi's like, are you trying to say, go say what you were saying one more time. He's like, oh, I said you're welcome, you know. Ooh. Shasham, you know. And then Kofi's like, yeah. Kofi's all like, are you trying to say I needed you to win? He goes, oh, yeah, well, I'm not saying that, but you said that, so it must be true if you said it. And you're like, what the fuck are you saying? He didn't say that. He said that you said it, and then you go, oh, you must have said it. So fucking I know you are, but what am I, Pee-wee?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So Pee-wee Herman gets put in his place by Kofi because Kofi's like, I didn't ask you to be there. I didn't need you to be there. I didn't want you to be there. I was beating him anyways. And then he goes, here's the deal. I came out and I opened up his I answered his open challenge because I never got my world title rematch. And he goes, and that's something you know a lot about, Drew. Because as you get rematch after rematch after rematch after rematch after rematch and you still can't get him job done, I did something you haven't done in months, and that's beat Bobby Lashley.
Chills.
Ooh.
Chills.
I was like, throw that mic into the ocean. It's over.
Yeah, both of our jaws just dropped.
Yeah. And he goes, I think I speak on behalf of the New Day, of Bobby, and the whole WWE universe when I say you need to step aside, Drew.
Fuck yes.
Whoa. I was like, God damn, I know Kofi's in the intro to our show, but I didn't know he listens regularly.
Thank you, Kofi.
Kev, what do you think about this? And Kofi being clearly a fan of the show.
Clearly, he says it.
He said he would have a drink with us, maple syrup.
Yeah, the proof is in the pudding. He's already said it. Yeah. But no, I loved it. I like how, once again, this how everyone besides Drew and the WWE, it seems like that, is basically saying Drew's a heel. Like MVP's getting pissed off. Hey, you're constantly cutting us off and interrupting. You're in a rude way. I forget how he said it last week. And then this week, again, here he is. Jesus. Like, fuck off, basically. And then Kofi just goes out there and, like you said, rips his asshole out like a Mortal Kombat fatality.
Yeah.
It was so great.
Yeah. It was amazing, dude. And you know what I love about it, too? Is there was someone else online that I have a lot of respect for. But they said, we're seeing some real shades of gray on if Drew is a heel and Kofi's looking a little heelish, and we're seeing a lot of shades of gray out there. Who's face and who's heel, and they're kind of moving in and out. And I was like, no, they're not. I'm like, Drew is as heel as it gets, and everyone's starting to call him on his bullshit. Because they're like, it seems a bit heelish, am I right? And then everyone else is becoming babyface around him because he's such a heel. And I think they should lean into it, and I'm glad they're starting to lean into it because it makes this something that I can be invested in. When I saw Kofi said that, I was like, fuck, yes. And then they said, you know what? We're going to have Kofi versus Drew McIntyre. And I was like, I am watching that match. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And they need to lead into it. I don't want to say been teasing it, but, Drew's a heel. Everyone said it.
Mm-hmm.
We were actually shocked when it came to Mania because, we thought the crowd was going to boo. And they could have, because they could have, like we were talking about it earlier, they could have edited it out.
Yep.
Or, like every time we would go in the Thunderdome, they'd say, okay, cheer for Drew, cheer for Drew.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows how much of that stuff they're just trying to get records of.
Mm-hmm.
How much of the, because we've noticed on some of the Thunderdome stuff, some of that stuff's old. It's not accurate. It's not current. Like, when I've been in the NXT Thunderdome, I've never seen an NXT show live. So they're keeping the recordings and they're using them where they want. And there was a moment where there was a lot of cheering and they had me in the background cheering. And I was like, huh. It almost is as though that when they coach us to do this.
Cole.
Right? But it's like, when they're coaching us all to do those things, they could also be capturing those moments, those sounds, those things, so they can use that later, right? But
yeah,
it is what it is. But we did end up with Drew McIntyre versus Kofi Kingston, #1 contender match for WWE Championship on Raw. The winner will go to Hell in a Cell. And Drew McIntyre, like a schmo, gets knocked into Bobby Lashley and acts like a dick. So Bobby Lashley beats the shit out of him. Rightfully so. Ugh. Ugh. And so I ended up in yeah. Happy hour into the fire. They
don't you dare be sour. It's happy hour.
Don't you dare be sour. Let's see. But New Day and Lashley MVP left Drew in there. Drew ends up yelling at Adam Cole or Adam Pearce. What do you think of this match? I thought the match was actually really good. I was really liking this match. It was not a crazy squash match. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, I like the match. As much as I don't like the outcome, it at least sets us up for next week. They said, hey, this is what's going to happen. They threatened Bobby and MVP with, was it a fine or a suspension? It was a suspension without pay.
Yeah.
And then their tax bracket, that's a lot of money.
Oh, I love that line.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that
And
line.
yeah. And I almost wanted it to be like a cage match or something, but then I was like, no. Too close to Hell in the Cell. They're not going to do that.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's going to be interesting. I have a theory about it. I hope, you know, I'm curious to see, because on Raw, they really highlighted Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander.
Ooh.
You know, and they haven't showed them, you know, they've showed them periodically, little here and there, but they didn't really like force it. And this show, they really forced how Alexander feels. The only reason why he's out of the Hurt business is because of Shelton Benjamin.
Yes.
And see, I'm just curious to see next week if Alexander has a play in the main event because he's trying to prove his worth to, you know, MVP and Bobby Lashley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that for sure.
You know, because they even said, you know, during the match that they would prefer Drew McIntyre to win between Kofi, or, you know, win the number one contender, because Bobby's already beaten him twice.
Yeah.
And then I'm sitting there like, no, don't do that, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Bobby's huge compared to Kofi. Like, why wouldn't you want to face the little guy?
That's true too. Bobby has every reason to want either one of those guys to win.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking, because they've kind of made it clear that they would prefer Drew because, you know, Bobby's already beaten him. And I'm just curious to see if Cedric causes Kofi to lose next week. That's my little prediction.
Yeah.
I guess.
I can see that. Let's see in the chat real quick. TP Poker. Coming back through. Always good to see him. He says he's getting tired of Lashley and McIntyre already. I'm 100% there too. I really think that as much as you think Cedric might try to get Drew the win, I do feel that there's something to be said for, like you said, Kofi winning. I also think that I think by pushing Drew aside in a definitive way makes him have to work his way up the roster, and then Drew almost becomes the gatekeeper to Bobby Lashley inadvertently. And I feel like that's a totally fine place to be for him as look, I'm a top guy, but I'm not the champion.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe people have to go through Drew to get to Bobby. Like, it could easily be Adam Pearce's all like, if you want a shot at Bobby, beat Drew McIntyre. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, then you have somebody beat Drew McIntyre. You have Drew go on to some sort of weird losing streak. He gets real fucking frustrated, and he changes it up and gets real fucking vicious again. It's not impossible to do.
Yeah. And then they send him to the minor leagues in AEW.
Yes. Justin does say, I don't know how many more McIntyre Lashley matches I can take myself. Yeah, I'm not interested in any of those.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Lashley McIntyre, especially not in a Hell in a Cell. But at the same time, I think you're right, because I don't think you put Kofi and Bobby in Hell in a Cell. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
There's
That's
no
where
point.
I'm coming from.
There's
Because
no
I
blow-off
think
there.
Yeah, I think you put, you know, as much as I don't want to see it either, you put McIntyre and Lashley in the cell, and, you know, I don't know if you start something between Kofi and Alexander, but then, you know, like I said, they already kind of said, or they did say, they want to face McIntyre because he's beating them, and
yeah,
what other Hell in the Cell matches are you going to get at this point?
Yeah, and whether or not they're forcing,
the other thing I was thinking with that is, because I don't think they've had it, but how interesting would it be? Because, you know, that's their MO of late, of making it a triple threat match in the Hell in the Cell
with Daniel Bryan.
Huh?
Would you put Daniel Bryan in the match? You're saying?
No,
Charlotte. You're saying Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, of course. Who else would you put in?
Yeah. Yeah, they could end up in a triple threat. That wouldn't be the craziest thing of all time.
Yeah, and I'd find it interesting, but like I said, to me, I just foresee it being Drew and Bobby.
Yeah.
One last time, Cell. It's the MO of Hell in a Cell, like you said, and as much as I don't want to see it, I think that's where we're at.
I'm afraid they're gonna give it to McIntyre.
Yeah, that's my concern too. Is if it goes to the cell, that McIntyre takes it there and goes like, "See, I finally got it," and you're like, "Fuck," because Hell in a Cell is gonna be in front of people, isn't it?
No,
Or is it gonna be the last one that's not?
it's the last one that's not as of now, I think.
Okay.
Well, no, because I think there's whichever one's in July.
Which is Hell in a
They
Cell.
mixed them around. No, Hell in a Cell's in June.
Oh, the Money in the Bank's in July. And then SummerSlam's going to be in August.
Yeah.
Huh. All right. Well, I guess we see where it goes.
But
I agree. I'm not interested in another Bobby and Drew match.
They had quite a few lines that I was thinking, wow, did they like kind of troll us or troll Twitter? Because yeah, that's definitely like her saying that after Kofi got real. I was like, wow, this is hitting.
No, cheers to Bruce Pritchard for always watching our show. He never misses a drink. We appreciate Bruce Pritchard always coming through.
I think Bruce Pritchard's TP poker. Throwing it out there.
I can't dispute that. That's the thing on it. Is that could be the case.
We tried to send him a chip, and he's like, "No, I'm good."
That's a really good point. We've tried so many times to send him poker chips that we signed for him, and he's not giving us the info to do it. So it makes a lot of sense, actually. Because he's all like, oh, just send it to B. Pritchard. It's for TP Poker.
Yeah.
What?
In care of TP poker.
Yeah, in care of. We did end up with Rhea Ripley versus Nikki Cross in a Beat the Clock challenge on Raw, in which Rhea looked like an absolute imbecile. Nikki Cross wins, and then it's
So now she
followed
deserves
up.
a title shot.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I
That's
guess
my
so.
takeaway from it.
Yeah. That was the kind of the gist I got out of it too, to be honest. It wasn't a great match. It was kind of goofy, and it did feel like we're going to end up with a Nikki versus Rhea match that's going to be bad. I think we're going to get a bad match out of it.
I just wish Nikki had a stronger character on the main roster is all. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. I want to see something that's more than just giddy, happy Nikki.
Yeah.
That's what I want so much.
Yeah. And Nikki Cross is so good that it's a shame to see it like this.
Alexa needs to go to her and say, "You want to play with me, Nikki?"
My friend Nikki used to always like to play, and does the thing with the play.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be sick, dude. That could be so dope. But that's what we got. And then, let's see. Anything you want to say about Nikki and Rhea?
No, but I'm excited for Nikki's title shot.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah, Nikki's looking good. She's looking like she's been working out a lot. So
yeah,
good for her.
She's looking like she's in the best shape of her life. I'll give you that for sure. Let's see. After that, we had a backstage segment where I think we already kind of talked about it a little bit, where Drew McIntyre and Adam Pearce and Kofi were all back there talking mad shit. Kofi's like, "Fuck you, dude," is the thing, you know. But they're gonna get their rematch next week, and the winner goes to Hell in a Cell. But that was followed up by Charlotte Flair coming out. Anything you want to say about the Adam Pearce thing?
No, I think we covered it.
All right, cool. We ended up having Charlotte coming out and laughing in Nikki Cross's and Rhea's face because, of course, she would. And then she had a match with Asuka, which I found incredibly clunky and weird and not a good match.
It felt like the longest match ever to me.
It was so long.
It felt like the first 2 hours of Raw were just two matches with a couple interludes in the middle of it.
For what it's worth, which is nothing because I'm nobody, but I think Charlotte
something.
I think Charlotte doing Andrade's moves just makes Charlotte look bad because she can't pull him off the way he does.
Yeah,
So why
that's
do 'em?
unfortunate.
And why are you trying to be the Nikki Bella of today? Don't do your man's moves. Don't.
Oh.
What? Nikki started taking on all of John Cena's moves, and it was some bullshit. And now that she's with Andrade, Charlotte's want to be like, oh, I'll do all of Andrade's move. And it's also bullshit because it looks like shit when you do it because you're not good at his moves. So fucking either wait till you're fucking flawless at those moves, or why are you trying to identify yourself as the woman who does her man's moves?
Yeah.
Fucking
Well,
drop
she
it.
did
Be
take
yourself.
the Divas title off of Nikki Bella.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I'm feeling more and more sorry for Charlotte, honestly.
I'm not, because most of this shit she's doing to herself.
That's the sad part about it, though. It's like it seems like it's a low confidence or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Well, but we'll move on. Anything you want to say about that match? It was weirdly clunky. Am I wrong?
No, you're right.
All right. Because I saw some people being like, it's amazing, and we live in an era where we get Asuka Charlotte matches all the time. This is the greatest women's era of all time. And I'm all like, are you watching these matches? Or because here's the thing. As much as I love women's wrestling and support it, I mean, we just talked about how Becky and Bayley are HBK and Bret Hart of this era.
Yeah. In the women's
The
division.
same
Yes.
in the women's division. I do think that there are times when we're so forgiving that it's just as boring to me as being like positive for no reason feels equal to me as negative for no reason. Like it's a conversation I don't care to have. Like if you're like, oh, this is incredible, but it's clearly garbage, I go, oh, okay, well then you're just supporting them for support's sake, which is fine.
Well,
and I'd rather you be out there than others. But saying something is incredible when it's really poorly put together is the same to me as saying something is shitty when it's clearly an elite level performance. You know what I mean?
Yes. To me, if people were sitting here saying that this Charlotte match was better than any other Charlotte match, and you know they're just trying to push Charlotte because it's Charlotte, it's to me it reminds me of Jericho, where he's getting a pass because he's Jericho. Yeah. And it's not because of this performance. It's because, hey, there was a decent spot here and there, but because you're Charlotte, it's great.
Yeah.
And
that's what I mean. Go ahead.
No, I was, it's just, you can't do that. If you're gonna break down match for match, this wasn't her greatest match.
Oh.
It wasn't Asuka's greatest match. Like you said, it was clunky, and you got to take it for what it is. Yeah. You can't be biased just because it's Charlotte, or because it's Jericho, or because it's whoever. If you would have said, I don't know how to word it, but if you almost had like a blind viewing of this, like you couldn't tell which wrestler was who, would you sit there and say, hey, this match was great? No.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. So one of the things that came across online this week was it was like 2 weeks ago, and this is what I fucking hate about wrestling journalists in quotes. They'll listen to a podcast 2 weeks later and then fucking quote the podcast and be like, this is news. And you're like, well, I just listened to the podcast, so I don't have to fucking read your goddamn piece of shit fucking news articles. But in one of those piece of shit news articles, they quoted a Jim Ross podcast from like 2 weeks ago where he said that right now he thinks that Randy Orton is the best wrestler in the business. He goes, whether it's a promo or a match, he goes, he just doesn't disappoint. And he goes, and he even says, he goes, and I know there's going to be people out there who's going to say, no, Kenny Omega is the greatest in the world right now. And he goes, that's your opinion, then that's great. This is just my opinion based off what I like. And he goes, and I can't disagree with somebody who says it's Kenny. He goes, I can't convince you otherwise. He goes, he's fantastic. Kenny's great. He goes, but for my money, Orton's my favorite. And you're like, okay, that's a really fair way to say that personal preference matters in the greatest of all time conversation.
Yes.
People were ripping Jim Ross apart, and fucking Chris Jericho tweeted about how amazing Kenny was. Kenny tweeted about how stupid Jim Ross was.
That's where it came from?
It all came from that.
I didn't know that. Oh.
And that's what was so stupid, was it's all like, you guys are getting so fucking butthurt that he says that his favorite person's Randy Orton. But if you know Jim Ross's career, it's not a fucking shock that Randy Orton is his favorite right now.
Mm-hmm.
Randy Orton is the classic old-time wrestler performing at a high level. It's an argument that's worth having. You know what I mean? So, like, people who are shitting... Because then people started saying, if you think that Randy Orton or Roman Reigns are better than Kenny, then you're an absolute moron. If you're thinking people are a moron for having that thought process, you're being negative for no reason. Which, to me, goes hand in hand with positive for no reason. If you're saying... Like, if you're going to say that, like, so if the conversation is Kenny, Orton, Roman, and who was the other person they had in that conversation? I'll just leave it at those three. Kenny, Jericho wasn't in that conversation, but he put himself there. But if you're talking about, like, yeah, right? If you're talking about Kenny Omega, Randy Orton, and Roman Reigns as being, like, the top three, and you're trying to say if you think it's not this one person, you're a moron. Well, if you don't think that there's a conversation to be had for all three, then you're being fucking negative for no reason. You're being positive for no reason. You're saying Kenny Omega's the greatest without objectively looking at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what I mean with, like, matches like this, is it's non-objective, positive for no reason. Well, it's these two, therefore it will be the greatest match of the year. And you're like, no. You can be objective and still be supportive.
Yeah. And on paper, yeah, it should be a good match.
Yeah.
Whether they perform or not is a different story. And for these guys to sit out there and say, hey, if it's this person or this person, you know, you're an idiot. That's what's wrong with today's society. You know, you could look at... what?
No, then we'll get there. Keep going.
Oh, you could go across the board with, you know, different subjects and politics and, you know, go on down the line, schooling, all sorts of shit. And if you sit there and say, hey, this is this, and if you don't agree with me, you're an idiot. You know, that's the problem, is that somebody comes in with a different opinion and you get pissed off about it and you insult them and you say they're wrong. Well, listen to the other side of the argument and, you know, then form an opinion instead of just immediately saying, this is right, you're wrong.
Yeah. I think debate teams should be required in school.
Yeah.
They were, I guess we're just old.
Well, they were around, but they weren't required. But I think they should be required because debate teams force you to take a side whether you agree or not.
Yeah, but we would also have assignments during certain classes where, hey, you're on this side of the argument, you're on that side of the argument.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which I don't think they have that anymore because they don't want to offend people because everyone gets butthurt about everything.
Yeah. I think that devil's advocate is one of my favorite things to play in general conversation. I mean, I've had so many arguments with people where they just... that was one of my favorite... So, Good Cop, Bad Cop is a podcast. And one of my favorite parts of that show every week is they do devil's advocate. And I think it's such a smart thing where they say, you give me a topic you think that I don't agree with, and I will defend it. And everyone gives each other topics. I loved it.
That's awesome.
And what I thought was so funny was I was on their show last week or the week before. I don't know. You can find it. It was my episode 1 there. So... And they gave me one where at the beginning you do your good cop moment, you do a bad cop moment, stuff like that, right? So the good cop moment I did was where they talk about Natty and Tamina and how amazing it was they were champions and how much it meant and how much they mean to to women's wrestling in general and the thing. So when it came time to Devil's Advocate, the person pitched one to me and said, "All right, defend this argument that putting the titles on Natty and Tamina undermined the titles even more so than they already were." So I had to come up with an argument, and I came with the argument that, hey, at surface level, it's the tag team that's been tagging the least amount of time. It's 2 single stars yet again thrown together, and here we are with champions yet again with a non-established tag team. I don't agree with the argument, but I could see it. I could understand it, and I think that's what I'm saying is that people aren't trying to see and understand these other arguments.
Yeah.
Kuro's in the chat, though. He says, are we saying those are the 3 greatest wrestlers of the modern era? Those 3 aren't even on the top of the list, which is also potentially opinion, but I'm saying that's the
So-
argument people were having. Kenny Orton and Roman. I would say as far as active wrestlers go of right now, I think that's the argument. Not as far as modern era in general,
Yeah.
but active current wrestlers who are the greatest at the top of their game. People are saying Roman, Kenny, Orton are the conversation. I think there's more people that could be in there. But
100%.
I do understand
But
why
I-
those three people are being talked about.
Yeah. And I think anyone that doesn't pick Randy Orton's an idiot.
Yes. Goddamn it.
Just kidding.
Alright.
No, but
Curious-
I can see exactly where Jim Ross is coming from.
Mhm.
I think Randy Orton's been consistent for the last few years, where, these other, Omega, I haven't watched AEW in a while, but I never saw the hype in him.
Yeah.
And with Roman, I think what he's doing now is great.
Yeah.
But this is still pretty new. And if, you're going off the whole body of work for the last few years, then
Last several
like I
decades,
said-
let's keep in mind.
yeah, but I could see exactly where he's coming from. But for people to immediately jump down his throat, especially the talent, I think that's
Yeah.
fucking horse shit.
Oh, yeah.
If Tony Khan had any fucking balls, he would sit Kenny Omega to the side and Jericho to the side and say, "Hey, calm your shit. This is his opinion. You can't tear him up about it, and move on."
100%.
So,
Yeah. I mean, it's just bullshit. I agree entirely. Because I think that's just it. Is the conversation is worth having as a fun thought experiment, but for the talent to actually come at Jim Ross like that is like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
You make him
And,
have to call some silly fucking shit. You made him call a 69 on air, and you're not gonna let him say, "Hey, you know what? I've had more fun calling other things." You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
fuck.
Right?
Yeah, there's not much respect there,
No.
I think.
They don't kick respect all the way around. That's what I'm saying. Kiro does say, I'm going to go
Yeah.
tweet Kenny Omega and say, so Kenny, how does Okada feel about this? It's just funny. That's what I mean. There's a lot of people we could put in the
Yeah.
conversation. I think putting them in there and like I said earlier, that who survives the fatal four-way, I think those are fun conversations. But when the talent behaves this way, it's like you're not worth being in my conversation if that's how your ego lives. Let's get back to Raw though. Let's try to roll through it a little bit. Let's see. We had Adam Pearce tell MVP and Bobby Lashley that he will be suspended for 90 days without pay if he interferes in Kofi and McIntyre, which is also interesting because they didn't bring up the fact that if you don't defend the title within 30 days, you're stripped of the title. They just said, well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they should have brought that up. Not only will you be suspended for 90 days without pay, but you will be stripped of the title because you can't defend it in 30 days' time. And as you know, you have to defend it within 30 days. So
Yeah.
it would have been.
Well, I was going to say,
would've-
Bobby's even getting close to the 30 days as it is.
All right. Everybody calm down. 30 days
Well, I'm
is
just saying.
fluid. It's not a hard
But,
30.
yeah. But,
Yeah.
I think if you bring that up, like I said, he's put up open challenges that aren't for the title. So
Yeah, that's true.
by the time he does put it up, like I said, we're going to be hitting that 30-day mark.
That's a good point.
But I thought that he should have said stripped for the title as well.
I think that'd be good. Let me see. We had Shelton Benjamin versus Cedric Alexander, which this was a fantastic match. I do think Cedric talked a little too long. And I
Yeah,
couldn't tell
on
if
the
that was on
opening
purpose or
promo.
not. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if we were supposed to be getting behind Shelton and getting annoyed with Cedric, but that's the way I was feeling coming out of that segment and that match. Was I was really
Corey
behind. Yes, Corey was too. Corey fucking almost
Yeah.
went off. It seemed like he was almost like, "Fuck
Yeah.
this dude," and he usually
Yeah.
supports the heels, but he was like, "No, fuck that guy."
And I like how he said, normally I'm supposed to be unbiased, but I'm 100% behind Shelton Benjamin on this. I was like,
Yeah.
damn, like to me, it seemed like there's almost some real animosity there, and maybe just shows how good Corey is, but
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah, but it was a really good match. I do think that maybe that's what they're trying to get to, is get Cedric more heelish and Shelton more babyface. Because that's how I came out of it. I came out of it being like, man, I don't know, Cedric, maybe shut the fuck up. Maybe you've been talking too long. But I love getting worked, and there's a very good possibility I was getting worked and all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he wasn't cutting a bad promo. At no point was I all like, he sounds like an idiot. I was just getting like, all right, shut up already. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
boo.
It wasn't, hey,
So,
hey, I'm going to change the channel real quick. This is nonsense. But it was, all right, shut up now. Okay, shut up now. And
Yeah.
he wouldn't. So, like you said, you got that heat.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then Cedric squeaks out a little win, like a little oily fart, just a little squeaker. Sweet. Sweet. You know what I mean? God. Producer wants us to have, like, literally no fun.
We need to start at 3 next time.
Next time we're starting at, like, 2:30.
Yeah. Lunch break with wrestling on the rocks.
Yeah. We'll do a 2-parter. I'll catch 30 minutes on one of my lunches, and then I'll get run home for the next part.
It sounded like you said too farter.
Yeah, a 2-farter, 2-part.
That's what we'll call it, a 2-farter.
Yeah, a 2-farter. Yeah. Well, all right. We're gonna have to pinch this one off for now. We'll be back with you a little bit later.
No.
Squeeze those cheeks. We'll see you in an hour.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. It's good stuff. It's just good stuff. Let's see. We did end up with, after that, or anything you want to say about Cedric and Shelton as a match? I thought it was so fucking good.
No, it was a good match. I like both of them a lot. I've always been a Shelton guy, but a little disappointed he lost, but that's about it.
Yeah. I'm curious about it. I'm not upset about it, and I'm not ready for it to be over. I'm still invested in it, so it's all good. After that, we did end up with Xavier Woods versus Riddle.
Yes, I like that.
Riddle. Dude, this was such a good fucking match. We've talked about it before. Xavier Woods is maybe the most underappreciated talent.
Yeah, now that Cesaro is appreciated, 100%.
Yes. But here's the deal. Cesaro was always appreciated by the way that the commentators would talk about him, the way he was always put over, the way the fans always recognized him. Fans are always like, Cesaro's underappreciated. But if everyone says that, then doesn't that mean you're probably well appreciated? You know what I mean? Just because you're not...
Yeah.
You might be underutilized, but not underappreciated. I think Xavier Woods is underappreciated.
Yeah, he's always
so
felt
good.
like the third wheel of New Day.
He's never been highlighted the way the others have. That's true.
Yeah,
Which is
They
crazy.
pushed...
'Cause
Go ahead.
I just feel like he's one of those people who can, like, do anything he sets his mind to. Like, during the pandemic, he learned another instrument. It's like, he got on G4. Like, what can't this dude do?
He's like, I think I'll go for a doctorate. Well, now that that's under the table, I think I'll just learn an instrument by myself in YouTube. Well, now that I've accomplished that, I think I'm going to go host a game show for G4. Well, I'm glad that worked out well. Like, it's just, he sets his mind to stuff.
Go ahead. What's that dude's name? Rivers Como, the singer from Weezer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where he has like a bunch of accomplishments like that. Didn't he graduate like Harvard Law or something like that? And it's like, all right, that was fun. Now I'm going to scale Mount Everest while doing a handstand.
Yeah. And this match was just fucking phenomenal. Xavier Woods is so good, so fluid, so natural. He has the best Hurricane Rana in the business.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue that.
I challenge anyone to find a Hurricane Rana that looks as believable as Xavier Woods. Because you know what Xavier Woods does that no one else does? He locks his legs together.
Yeah, on the back.
Yep.
He crosses his ankles.
Yes.
Yeah.
He crosses his ankles and forces you down. And no one else does that. They just drape their feet over there, and you just go flying for no reason. I don't know why. No.
Like a Salvador Dari clock.
Yeah.
Salvador
Yeah,
Dali,
100%.
not Dari.
And that drop kick off the top, he fucking drop kicked the shit out of Riddle. And I love that he even jumped up and he goes, "You just got kicked."
Yeah.
Let's see. I got to run back through the chat. I had my chat closed for a minute. Let's see. He goes, very fluid 30 days. Let's see. 30 days, 3 months, half a year. Ask Lesnar. Well, yeah, I mean, those fluid 30-day defenses. He goes, why are we only getting Hurt Business Fallout now? Yeah, the way that they've handled Hurt Business has been weird. Go ahead. What are you going to say?
Yeah, I was going to say the same exact thing. Like, I think they disbanded Hurt Business way too soon, and it felt like, to me, almost out of nowhere. It was like an RKO, where I'm like looking at the Hurt Business, and I'm like, yeah, cool, and then boom, they're gone, and I was like, oh fuck, and because I was getting behind them, I like all of them, like cool, let's, and I've been stable hungry for years, and so to see them, I was like, great, this is awesome, and then like, they got rid of them. I was like, okay, but yeah, for the Fallout just to happen now. Like I said,
it's a little weird.
I just think,
It's
like I said, we're going to go to, Cedric trying to prove himself and say, hey, I belong in the Hurt Business.
Yeah, I could see that. Because at the same time, now that it's just Bobby and MVP, they're not really saying CEO of the Hurt Business so much anymore because it's like, it's just the one dude now. So I do wonder. We'll see. He says original Sin Cara. I don't know. I don't think original Sin Cara really existed. I think we only have new Sin Cara and on, right? That's how I work.
And you said in the business now.
Yeah, that's a good point. I said now. I said in the business now. Kevlar, now. Thank you, Kevlar. That's why you're still on the show. That's why you're on a new shirt, the IIRonics t-shirt. ProWrestlingTees.com/WrestlingOnTheRocks. 20% off the next several days. Let's put in the code Memorial. 20% off that Ironic shirt, man. IIRonics. I'm surprised you're not wearing it, man. Why don't you wear it every day? What's going on? This is your gift. That's your birthday gift. What's going on?
He put it away in the back of the closet, probably.
Yeah, what's happening? Why didn't you wear it for your wife's birthday and stuff?
Sure, it's in my closet.
It's all like cut up into rags and shit with oil on it. Because I just did an oil change. I just saw it.
I needed something to clean my guns with.
Yeah, this will be perfect. Actually, by the way, because we didn't.
I dry off my dog after I give her a bath.
Yeah. We didn't do it early on, but we should do it now real quick in case she never listens anymore, but she used to. We'll give a little cheers to your wife. It is your wife's birthday today. Cheers to Kevlar on the Rocks' birthday. Mrs. on the Rocks with an X.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh. And now she
better
can probably
change
go
that
out.
to her handle.
That'd be so good.
Mrs. on the Rocks.
With an X. He says Kalisto. He's gone too, man. He's been fired.
AJ's there still.
Yeah, but I don't think any of them have a better Hurricane Rod because it's not as believable. It's just fast. That's all. AJ Styles versus Jackson Riker happened next. So a lot of people were upset by this. They didn't like that Riker got a win over AJ, even though it used Elias cheating to win. I think it made sense. You know what I mean? You have Riker get the win so you can have... Because they're clearly leading to a tag match for the titles.
Yeah.
How do you do that if...
teams.
Yeah. And if AJ and Omos win every single one of those matches that they put on at any given time, then there's no point to go forward. So, Jackson getting a win with some shitty tactics is fine.
Yeah. The announcer even said it. I forget which one. But they said... How big of a win would this be for Riker in a one-on-one situation if he beats AJ? And as soon as he said that, I was like, okay, that's gonna happen.
Yeah,
because like you said, they've been teasing this tag team match, which is probably gonna happen at Hell in the Cell, which I'm fine with. But like you said, if one of the oppositions doesn't get a win over the champions, what believability is there going to be for them to even have a chance to win it?
Yeah.
They'd be like the biggest underdogs in the Vegas scorebooks in WWE history.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. And at the same time, has a loss to AJ Styles ever hurt him career-wise? Do we think any less of AJ Styles knowing he's lost matches here and there?
No.
No. He's still fucking one of the greatest of all time.
Yes. But then almost his closing speed to knock Elias through the Titantron thing. I forget what they call it now. The LEDs.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to hit this real quick in the chat, and we'll move on from it, to be honest, pretty quick. But he says, here's my issue with Riker. If they can fire Dream, that one NXT ref, Lars Sullivan, why can't they fire Riker? Here's my argument to that. It's none of our fucking business, and it's none of yours either. That's not part of what we're doing when we watch wrestling. And to be quite honest, the whole statement that Velveteen Dream put out, we're going to talk more on our Thursday night show. But when I watch wrestling and when I watch the show, very little of that has to do with, I wonder if they should fire this guy for a tweet. You know what I mean? So I just think that whether or not they fired other people for whatever reasons, I do think that Riker had a very ill-timed and poorly thought-out tweet. But that's hardly the worst transgression I've ever seen from human beings as to whether or not they should or should not have a job. But bottom line, a lot of all of that stuff, a lot of the stories on all those things is really none of our concern as viewers and as fans. So I don't think that when I watch Riker versus AJ, my thought is, let me see if there's a reason to hate him from an ill-timed tweet or not. You know what I mean? I'm just going to watch the show and see if I enjoy the show or not. Which is why Kevlar stays off Twitter most of all, just to enjoy the show as it is.
Yeah, I mean, I do, I think, as well. I mean, I'm on now a bit more for our show. But, yeah, just more or less watch as a casual viewer because that's kind of the point, I thought. Yeah. Just to enjoy.
I wouldn't say casual viewer.
Yeah, she's
because
not a
casual viewer just watches, Mania. That's it.
Yeah.
But see,
Okay.
I look at it where the reason why I do it is because I miss the pops. And WWE loves to ruin their pops, especially on Twitter.
Yeah.
And, like I said, I've used this example several times, but it was Crown Jewel like 2 years ago. And I've always been a Hogan fan when I was little and stuff like that. And when they said, hey, here's our host, and it played his music, like I went crazy. I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. I don't agree with what he said, and that's fine. But, I've come to a point in my life where I like to separate the entertainment from the
entertainer.
The entertainer. There you go. Perfect. Yeah. And I take it for what it is. I became a wrestling fan not to know every aspect of the business and know everything that the wrestlers did. I just liked the product. So that's all I want to focus on.
Yeah.
I found out, or I find myself when I'm diving into stuff, I'm not liking the product as much.
Right. And I do think that our fascination with the backstage stuff isn't to inhibit our ability to enjoy what we're watching, right? And a lot of people do that. When we say, can you believe Hogan said this crazy shit? We're like, that guy's crazy. Why would he ever say shit like that? But then Hulk Hogan comes out with his 22-inch pythons, and we go, "Oh shit, it's Hulkamania!" I mean, they're separate in my mind.
I gotta take my vitamins. Yeah.
Oh my god, where's my vitamins? You know what I mean? Like they're so separate. And that's not to say that I want a shitty person to have a job or that I want to support shitty people one way or another. But it just comes to that my enjoyment of a product and looking, even when I watch shows like Dark Side of the Ring, it doesn't make me go back and watch old stuff and go, ugh, I can't believe I enjoyed this one time because of what he did 10 years after this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, like you can get lost in it all. So I'll say this. If your issue with Riker is why aren't they firing him, then you have no issue with this match or the pin. Right? Because that's irrelevant to either of those things.
Yeah. But my thing with Riker is, from what I know, because like I said, I stay off of Twitter, it was just an ill-timed tweet.
It was a shitty tweet,
And
yeah.
he just showed support for Trump, right?
Yeah, he didn't say anything necessary. But what it was, and we are on the anniversary of it, but it was when George Floyd had died in that thing. He sent out some tweet where he said, like, I support the president. And you're like, okay, you're being a dick. You're being a dick, and it's not timely, and there's a lot of conversation about whether or not this is socially an issue, and, I mean, a lot of discussion that it is an issue, and obviously things went the way they went, and the officer is in prison now. Like, so a lot of things have happened. But at the time when it happens and you say, I just want everyone to know I support the president, it's kind of like, okay, you didn't have to tweet that today. You're being kind of shitty. Shut the fuck up.
I didn't think it had anything to do with George Floyd. I thought it had to do with the protests because of it.
I mean, it could have been, but those were really close together.
But either way, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, somebody, like I said, it was just ill time.
It was ill time. It was a shitty time to say that.
Yeah, exactly. Because if somebody, let's say I'm just throwing Biggie out there, he's the first one that came to mind. If he sent out a tweet and said, "Hey, I support Biden. I support the president," is anyone going to bat an eye over it?
Yeah. Right.
Like, if anything, us as Americans should all support the president and hope, no matter who the president is, we should support them and hopefully they make the right decisions.
Yeah, I mean, you can support an overall aspect versus motions and stuff. But I will say that it was a shitty thing to say at a shitty time to say it. But at the end of the day, he didn't outright say a bunch of, like, overtly horrible racist shit. You know what I mean? He didn't drop any words that made you go, what the fuck? It was just kind of like, dude, shut up. You know what I mean? Like, if a guy at work said that, I'd have been like, dude, shut up. But I wouldn't have been like, can we fire him? You know what I mean? Like, I'd have been like,
I'm going to HR right now.
Yeah. I'd have been like, shut up, dude. Not the time. You know what I mean? So it was really one of those. But outside of that, regardless, Kiro does say, I think like that. But then I think, well, if that's the case, why did they break up his team? And I do think that that's really peculiar, that the other two guys got let go kind of like beat after beat. And I wonder why, because they were doing really good stuff with Corbin, I thought, for a short period there.
Well, one wanted to leave, right?
I have no idea.
Or that the rumor was. Yeah.
Could be. And then he says, if I'm supposed to think of the wrestler as separate from what they said, then WWE shouldn't punish them on TV for those things. But I don't think that they do. I mean, if someone crosses a line, but that's also up to them, right? Like, or is he saying, like, as far as like on TV to see a burial like we saw with the Canellises, which was for a whole other reason. Which also, I mean, that could just be some petty shit. I love some petty shit.
But, Kiro used Lars Sullivan as an example.
Yeah.
And with him, from what I know, is it wasn't a one instance ill-timed tweet.
Yes, correct.
It was, hey, he used the N-word. Hey, he was sexually abusing, a yoga instructor?
Well, not like actively abusing them, but he was like in their DM saying like terrible shit. Yeah.
Yeah. And there was multiple instances with Velveteen Dream. We kind of talked about it briefly before going on the show. And, I heard he got released, but it was one of those where the public opinion of him, it seemed like, was his undoing.
Yeah.
Where his name wasn't, in the public's eyes, wasn't ever clear.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, put the two together by any means, but it seems a lot like Colin Kaepernick, where, don't get me wrong, it's two different aspects, but in the public eye, a lot of them are sitting there saying, he's not worth the headache. Why do this because of this? Velveteen Dream the same way. Why keep this guy around when he's just causing a headache? And whether, the facts are there or not, sooner or later, you just got to sit back as a company and be like, hey, this guy has he's a black eye of the company right now, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah.
And is it worth keeping him around or not?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, when public opinion is what it is, that sometimes it's not worth the idea of like whether or not anything did or didn't actually happen. It's like, well, it doesn't matter if it did at this point. Public opinion is that you're bad for business at this point. So
Yeah.
so I get that too. Let's keep going though. And we're going to talk more on Thursday. If you want to come in and talk more about the Velveteen Dream stuff, we're definitely going to hit that up on Thursday with Amanda and Clump, because that's going to be kind of an interesting conversation. And typically Thursday's a show we get a little more in depth about a lot of that stuff too. You and me like to talk wrestling. Those guys, they like to talk social.
About all the other bullshit.
Yeah, about all the bullshits. You and I like fun stuff. They like the mean stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got.
God damn it.
Yeah, it's happy hour. Fucking make me sad. Oh, and then real quick, he says, "Let me clarify. If you have been having championship matches with a wrestler, and all of a sudden that wrestler has something resurfaced that's not PC, you shouldn't just remove him from those matches the very next show. Oh, like they're booked for matches and they just get pulled off because of those things. Well, I mean, also investigation I think is important. So like if something surfaces and they need to investigate it, pull them off. But if it's investigated appropriately and properly, then move forward, right? But it's all a mess. It's all a mess, no matter which way you cut it.
Yeah, and just a real quick one to that. Also, is Riddle. Those stuff came out, and we don't know what happens backstage, obviously, but it seemed like WWE was like, "Cool, let's do this investigation." And even Riddle might have even said, "Hey, this crazy ex-girlfriend of mine or whatever might come out and say something. They have to look into it." And, we don't, like I said, we don't know what went on with the investigation, but he was on, what was it, the next show, wasn't he? The next Smackdown after those allegations came out?
Yeah, and then he was off, and then he was back, and then he was kind of gone again, and then he was back. Like, so I don't know. I think that it's a delicate business. There's a lot of stuff going on. You got to be sure, but at the end of the day, I'm just kind of watching what I'm watching as I watch it.
Yeah.
But like I said, we're gonna dig a little more into that later.
Look into the bullshit.
Yeah.
Just give me the product.
And someone disappears, and you go, okay, well, I guess that was that. Mm-hmm. Let's see. We had Sheamus versus Humberto Carrillo, who is back after having his asshole blown out. If you remember 2 weeks ago, it appered as though his butthole was completely removed in
fractured butthole. That's really my favorite South Park game. Sorry.
It is a good one, dude. You're like superheroes and stuff. I have it. Yeah. I tried to make myself into a referee, and it was really tough. But I used to play it on our channel here. Maybe I'll go back to playing some more of it. But let's see. Sheamus did win against Humberto, and then Ricochet came out. Ricochet, even in this segment where he didn't speak, showed a lot of personality. And
his facial expressions. Ooh.
Yes. Did you catch that too? Was that just that? It wasn't just me.
No, that was 100%. Like he had that like crazed look in his eye. Like I was waiting for him to attack Humberto.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he's like, I don't give a fuck. If it moves, I'm kicking it, I'm punching, I'm swinging, kick it in the balls, pull the hair, whatever. Like he had that crazed look in his eye, and I loved it.
It makes me so excited for what we're gonna get with Ricochet in the next year or two. To be honest, I'm like, we're there. Yeah. We're there at a point where he can do some big stuff. So I'm so excited about that. And the idea of potentially Humberto and Ricochet being a tag team, maybe going for tag team gold or something, fucking here for it. Like, I don't know what's going on here, but Ricochet in his denim, that look on his face, I'm fucking loving it. Absolutely.
What about Ricochet and Otis with all the denim?
Oh, that'd be good. And Mandy could be their manager. Yeah, I'm all into that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to gloss over it because it was such a good match between Humberto and Sheamus, and it's brutal as always. I've got nothing bad to say about Sheamus almost ever. That guy is fucking on point. I think he's underappreciated, to be honest. But Sheamus brings out the toughness in everybody. Ricochet showing some real personality. I just loved that whole everything, all about that.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you want to throw in there before we talk about the main event?
No, I liked it. I mean, Sheamus is Sheamus, and yeah, like I said, I'm really curious to see Ricochet. He seemed like for a while there that he was buried and was never coming out of it. And
Yeah.
this new version of Ricochet, I want to see. Dude, I want a King
Yeah.
of the Ring so bad.
Me
Because I
too.
remember he was in the last one, and I wanted to keep calling him King Ricochet. I almost called him that right now.
Yeah. Oh, and that's still his fucking handle on Twitter. I would love to see it. I'd love to see a King of the Ring tournament and see some finalists like Ricochet, Chad Gable, Xavier Woods, and like a Shinsuke. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
because
Like,
and I wouldn't even be upset if Corbin's in it and retains.
true. Yeah.
You know, I think
Yeah.
truthfully, I think WWE dropped the ball with that because now the King of the Ring tournament was 2 years ago now,
Yeah.
and I think they should have done it, and then Corbin retained, and then he's like, "I'm still the king around here." Like, oh, that would have been so great instead
That's
of
a
just
really
keeping
good
it on
point.
him the whole time.
It's a great point. If you're at 2 years anyways, why didn't you just do it a second year and have him win it again? Because then he's
Yeah.
all like, I'm back to back. Like, what more asshole shit do you need than someone saying they're back to back winners?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's dude, and you know what that would remind me of is the 2-time Slammy Owen.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Like, oh god, it would have been great, but
Kiro saying, why does
whatever.
nobody watch main event? Are you talking about because the Ricochet and Mustafa Ali stuff? Because I love that. I love that stuff. I don't watch everything every time. But I love the Mustafa and Ricochet stuff. They got a 2 out of 3 falls match coming up.
Yes.
It's going to be their big blow off. So,
I thought Mustafa was fired.
no. No, he's an American hero. Actually, I believe it was announced yesterday on the new Pro Wrestling for Life podcast with host Sean X-Pac Waltman. The guest this week, which will be dropping Thursday, unless you're a Patreon, that'll be dropping sometime tomorrow, is Mustafa Ali. They did an interview with him. So,
Nice.
yeah. I was double checking that it came out because that's the other big thing around here is that I have officially become their main editor, their primary editor for that podcast, and it's pretty exciting. And also why we went live early today, so you can watch your basketball game and I can get some editing. So
Now basketball game starting in like 5 minutes. Let's go, Suns.
Oh,
beat
yeah?
them Lakers.
yeah,
Beat
it's starting in
LA.
5.
Beat LA. Beat LA. Oop.
Wait, it's starting in 5?
Yeah, it's fine. I don't have to watch.
Oh,
stuff
perfect.
off.
Yeah, no, so then we're good. We're in a good spot. So let's talk about the main event. Tamina and Natalya as the champions versus Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. It was the women's tag team title match, and Natalya got the win over Shayna on this one with a roll up, which is like we were talking about earlier. Shayna catching Natalya with a choke, and then having Natalya catching Shayna being distracted by Reginald with a roll up that was like impossible to get out of. I thought was an awesome. I know people hate 50-50 booking and shit, but in general, it can be really effective, and I think it was here too because it really showed that either Natalya or Shayna could catch each other at any given moment with the right mistake made because they're both so good at what they do.
I'm getting really tired of Reginald.
Yeah, I'm kind of over the Reginald character, although it looks like next week we're going to get Shayna versus Reginald, which I'm semi-interested in. What do you think of all this, Kev?
I'm not. I think Reginald has, good old Reggie, has a lot to offer, and I think he could be interesting in like 205 and NXT. And I think they need to, separate them and just let him do his thing. Because him just keep beating up on, and he doesn't beat him up. He just flips around them. But him keep having matches with women, like to me, that's not doing him any favors in the long run.
It is a little weird. That's just mostly his thing. He should have some regular matches with men.
That's been his only thing, right?
Yes.
I don't think he's ever had a match against another male competitor.
Yeah. It's one thing to say you're an intergender wrestler. It's another thing to say, to pull the Andy Kaufman, I only wrestle women.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what's your end goal here? Because the end goal with Andy Kaufman was to get his neck broke by Jerry Lawler when he finally wrestled a, quote, real man. So, Are we gonna break Reginald's neck? Because I'm here for that. See him on Jimmy Fallon with a fucking neck brace.
I mean,
but overall,
I don't know. I just want more for him because some of the things he does in the ring, and a lot of people don't like the flippy shit, and I do because I think it's athletic as hell. But the way he can enter and exit a ring like no one else I've ever seen is purely amazing.
Yeah, 100%. I think he's phenomenal to watch. I don't think
Mhm.
we've found the best place for him yet. So
No,
hopefully we see better placement for there. Kiro says Reginald can't wrestle. He also says 55 over 45 booking is better. I like the idea of that.
Yep.
Slightly more than half. Since he's an acrobatic person. Yeah, fuck yeah, he is. But overall, I thought the match was actually really good. I've watched the match twice now, and it was a fantastic match, which I was surprised at. And then at the end, Reginald's walking away. The pyros blow up in his face. And like you and I were talking about it before, we were wondering, hey, why didn't Alexa show up and say a little something or appear? And we think maybe she was sent home because of Larry. But overall, we didn't see her here, and I don't think that completely took away from it, although Corey did say that's the second time we've seen a pyrotechnic malfunction with Reginald and Shayna. He goes, I don't think that's a coincidence at this point. And I love that little bit, that little fucking tinge. Go ahead, Kev.
but see, even with Alexa not there, I think they should have had that Lily laugh.
Yes.
And because that's the other thing. Like you said, where's the end game with this? It seems like Lily and Alexa are picking on Reginald. So if the big blow off is Reginald versus Alexa,
that's upsetting for sure.
Yeah.
When you say it like that, that's really fucking upsetting. Yeah. Don't bring that up again.
Well, how else am I supposed to bring it up?
Just kidding. Yeah, no. So, all right, well.
But yeah, other than that, match was good. I want more for Reggie.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I don't know. I guess I don't have anything else to say on it. Then I was surprised at how good it was. I really do think, though, that I'm ready at this point for Shayna and Nia to be done as a team. They need
100%.
to stop being a team. And I can't wait to see Natalya and Tamina help build the women's tag team division into some real fucking competitors in matches against them all the time. You know what I mean? I think it could be great. It'd be phenomenal. I'd like to see the Riot Squad not look like a joke anymore. So I think that going up in it, even if they lost in a match to Natty and Tamina and almost won, it could still be good. So Kuro does say maybe put Reginald on 205 Live. He can't weigh more than 205. He's kind of small. He said Reginald versus Lily, and Lily gets the pin. That could be a good one. Quick roll up. Choke slam.
Terrible.
Lily could do a choke slam on Reginald right before they get audiences in. Could be great.
No, Lily gets the mandible claw.
Ooh, the mandible claw.
Yeah.
I think it'd be good. I think it'd be really good. But I think that's the end of Raw, man, dude. This Raw was really good. Most of the time when we get to Raw, we were like, hey, let's just kind of burn through some of this stuff because it wasn't what we're talking about. They didn't oversaturate it with Drew McIntyre. They had a lot of compelling stuff going around, even around the story, which we typically don't like. And every match on here was just a phenomenal pay-per-view caliber match with talent that you wouldn't expect. Like when you see it's going to be Woods versus Matt Riddle, you go, okay, that'll probably be good. And then you see it and you go, holy shit. You know what I mean?
Alexander and Shelton.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All of it.
Like a few of these.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, like a few of these matches on paper, you were going to be like, that doesn't seem that interesting. But then actually watching it, you're like, holy shit, those were good matches. And that's why I said, like, the first 2 hours of Raw felt like it was just two matches.
Yeah.
Like Kofi and Drew went on, and then so did Charlotte and Asuka, and
the first hour and a half was those two matches for sure, and with the Rhea 2-minute match in between, because we brought that up. We're like, fuck, this has been going on forever.
Mm-hmm.
But Drew and Kofi was much better than I thought it would be. Kuro does say Tombstone Pile Driver by Lily or Pedigree. Actually, I think that Reginald could pull off a Tombstone Pile Driver from Lily.
If you never want him to walk again. Speaking of breaking his neck.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's the show, man. Anything you want to say special about the show in general?
No.
It was a good week. It was a good week for WWE because a lot of times we watch SmackDown and say this was so good, and now we have to talk about Raw. This week was like, fuck, we're doing some good stuff here.
Yeah, let's talk about both.
Yeah, let's get into it. It wasn't a reason. We weren't drinking to commiserate. We were drinking to celebrate this week, and you never know. You never know with these shows. So, well, good, man. Any special shout-outs you want to put out there before we close up?
Just, I want the goddamn Suns to beat the Lakers. That's about it. Go Man City also on Saturday, Champions League. And
Yeah, I heard Man City won. You weren't a fan of the Super League, right?
No. Man City won the Premier League, but now it's Champions League. They've never won Champions League, and hopefully on Saturday they can get their first Champions League crown over that bitch Chelsea.
Is there anybody on Lakers we like anymore? Or is the Lakers all
we
team
hate
don't
them
like?
all.
We hate them all?
We
Okay,
hate
good. So, yeah, go
every single one of
Suns.
them. Yes.
Perfect. Well, Kev, this has been episode 1. Oh, wait, real quick, Kuro in the chat, because he did say he came back to derail the show, and I will say he's done a bang-up job of it. He says, yeah, he says Reginald's laid flat in the ring, and Alexa tosses Lily on top, and the ref just does a 3 count. That'd actually be fucking funny. Reginald gets knocked out, and then Alexa just puts Lily on top of Reginald and makes the ref count. That'd be fucking funny.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah.
And no, Man
Kuro
United is not better. Not by a long shot. That's why they're number 2, because they're shit.
They're number 2 like AEW's number 2 to WWE. Not even close. No,
Not even close.
Well, guys, that's been another episode 1. We will be back on Thursday for our episode 1. If you guys want to come check us out, give us a like, give us a follow, do the subscribes, do the notifications, all the things. You can put the I in subscribe and the no in notification. That is not a problem for us. We are Wrestling on the Rocks. This is at WOTR, the show. I am at Ref Marsh. That is at Kevlar on the Rocks. We will be back for episode 1 with an X. This is the last call, guys. Cheers.
Cheers, and subscribe to our YouTube, please.
Hey, producer lady here. Thanks for tuning in. Continue to support us or buy us a drink by following and putting the I in subscribe on Twitch. Or subscribe and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. Cheers!
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.